Welcome to the Grand Review. This is the show that's all about movie news and reviews. I'm your host and concierge to the vault of cinematic jewels, Garrett Ray. And joining me as always, it's the mastermind and den mother of Grand Avenue Theaters himself. It's Andy Delia.
Thanks, Garrett.
That's very funny if you've read the title of the episode.
Okay.
Den mother. It's great. It's a great joke.
I'll take your word for it.
I'll take your word for it. Okay, well, here's basically how the show works. If you haven't joined us before, we do a spoiler-free review up front, then we do spoilers, then we get into the news. That's how it goes. So there's time codes down below if you want to jump around. But before we get into it too much, just real quick, I just want to remind everybody that the best thing you can do if you're enjoying the show is to share it with your friends, give us a review on iTunes or Spotify or whatever, and that's all of the begging I will do in this 10-minute section. All right, let's get into it. So we are talking about the first new release for us of 2025. Yes. Oh my goodness, it's 2025.
Yeah, 2025.
And we are coming out of the Lionsgate strong with Den of Thieves 2, Pantera. It shocked me when the Lionsgate thing came up. I don't know why.
Well, because that's the studio behind this, too.
It just shocked me that I was like, but I liked the first one. How is Lionsgate involved? After last year, they had a rough go of it.
Not as rough as Warner Brothers.
Yeah, well, they earned that.
Yeah,
you spent $200 million on a musical starring a guy who can't sing. That's your fault.
Yeah.
I don't feel bad for you. But yeah, so we're talking about Den of Thieves 2. I watched Den of Thieves 1 the night before. So Wednesday night, I watched that.
And I rewatched it the night before, too.
Did you see it when it came out?
Yeah, I did initially.
Yeah. What did you think of the first one?
I like the first one.
I do too.
It's a poor man's Heat.
Sure.
You know, Heat's done much better than this is, but at least it's interesting enough and the story goes along and the pacing on it is good. And I like O'Shea Jackson. I like Ice Cube's son. He's actually a pretty decent actor.
I forgot that he was Ice Cube's son entirely.
And I guess a guilty pleasure actor for me is Gerard Butler. I do like him.
Yeah, I do too.
And I like what he does because he plays the big bad cop. And, you know, he's good at it.
Yeah.
And it's entertaining, and especially this one that we watched last night. There's some really entertaining scenes with him.
Yes, there are.
But yeah, first one I thought was pretty decent. I was worried when I went watch the first one because I saw it in 2.5 hours. I was like, oh,
yeah,
okay, so this better not drag and not be boring.
Yeah.
And I know there were a couple of films that came out around the same time, like Armored, that are really bad.
I don't even remember that one. Like I'm like, okay, that rings a bell, but the bell is very far off in the distance and mostly made out of cracked porcelain.
There's a reason for that too. But I was looking forward to this, but even thinking about going into watching it last night, was this a sequel that really anybody asked for or wanted?
I don't think so, but boy, am I glad it came out. That first one really, when I watched it, I was like, holy crap, I actually kind of love this. And it's
and it flew under a lot. It didn't even do that well financially.
No, but it did have a low enough budget. That first one was $30 million. And it has kind of garnered a folling afterwards.
Yeah.
And the people who are into it, Gerard Butler said this. He said the people who love it are really into it. And, we're really appreciative for that. I just thought that first one was surprisingly good. And I enjoyed the craftsmanship of it. I really thought that it's not spectacle, it's tension. And I think this one also follows along with that. It's that. But we start with your thoughts, so I'll shut up for a second. Your thoughts, good, bad, great, or terrible, Andy? Where are you landing?
Bad.
Really?
Yeah. I had some problems with this.
Okay.
Not even so much. I just thought the pacing on this was incredibly slow. It seemed to really drag, and I became disinterested at a couple of points in the movie too. So I didn't really like it all that much.
Okay, interesting. I'm on the good camp. I like this a lot. I think it's very different from what I would have expected from a sequel to Den of Thieves, because that first one I would have expected them to kind of retread this time, and they do that a little bit. It's another heist, but this is not military people doing a heist. This is thieves doing a heist. More like just people who are a little bit more Ocean's 11 without being the slick, shiny Ocean's 11 style stuff. It's a diamond heist, which I love. I love diamond heists so much. But this is not like, a diamond guarded by lasers and stuff. It's more grounded. So I liked that about it. I was caught up enough in the kind of buddy cop angle that this took, because this one, I think it has less action and gunplay and stuff than the first one.
Considerably less.
By a lot. But I kind of liked that this one was kind of leaning more into the character side of things.
And I didn't mind. I just thought it really dragged.
It's interesting. I didn't feel it dragged.
Then
again, I had to get up like twice to pee. So
I got up once.
Yeah, I saw you get up and I was like, ha, got him.
Yeah, and then you got up twice.
Yeah, well, I was sucking down Dr. Pepper like crazy because I was tense the whole time, and I'm just like nervous eating.
Okay.
I don't know. I felt like this had kind of that rising tension. I think Gerard Butler, he proves why he's an action star. There are plenty of Gerard Butler movies that I'm like, oy. But this one was one of those ones where I'm just like, he's playing this character, he's doing it well, and he's a lovable jerk. I mean, you can't help but like him, but you're also like, if that guy was in my life, I'd have to just slap him on the back of the head twice a day, just to.
Well, that's even
being around him.
When the first one starts too, and he's showing up at like 6 a.m. and his wife and kid is leaving him, and he's not really a likable character.
No, he's a bad dude. He's a dirty cop, like not dirty, but he's not doing things to procedure. He's kidnapping people with a taser and putting them in the hotel room and then slapping them around, like all that stuff. But I think that this doesn't have quite the same level of like, ooh, smart kind of moments that I felt the first one had.
No, and the ending to this one too was, I thought, a little bit more predictable than the ending to the first one. Yeah,
this one definitely has a moment of predictability where I leaned over to Hannah and was like, this is going to happen, and then it happened. And I had figured that out. They foreshadow it at the beginning. And so, but at the same time, I think the reason I like both of these movies is that it's about that tension. It builds, and you don't even realize you're feeling it at first, and then you kind of realize you've been slowly tensing up as they have, and the absence of music and the use of sound design to just like be in the heist. I thought was really good, but yeah, it's interesting that I thought you would like this more.
I wanted to, because I was really looking forward to this. I thought it fell short. I was disappointed with this, and just walked away with like, that's really how I had the thought was, well, does the first one really need a sequel, especially since I watched it the night before? I was like, this film probably really didn't need to be made. Yeah,
but I also think that this, so it's a budget of $40 million, and it feels like a budget of $100 million with what the director's doing with it. So I think that, being able to do a mid-budget movie that is that still looks this good.
It's definitely a middle of the road film that's not going to do like blockbuster business, but it's not going to be like on streaming in a month either.
Well, it's funny. I wrote down somehow this only has a 67% on Rotten Tomatoes, but now I think I understand maybe why. A lot of people may have had problems with the pace. I wasn't bored by the pace. I don't know why. I think it was because I was trying to piece together everything and figure out and this is not really a spoiler because this is kind of revealed in the trailer. Is he actually flipping sides, or is he just playing Donnie? I don't know. And it's trying to figure that out.
And it's the same writer director as the first one.
It is
too, which that's maybe I was expecting a lot more than I should have. I mean, and that's probably why I thought it was bad.
I guess we can get into spoilers. Maybe you can explain a little bit more about where the pace really fell apart for you. I'm interested in that.
Because the whole first half of the film.
The whole first half?
Yeah.
Really?
It wasn't until they like really get into the heist that I started getting somewhat interested.
Okay.
Because the first half of that film to me just drags like badly.
Yeah. I mean, the opening sequence is fun where they rob the plane.
But then after that, it just kind of drones along, in my opinion.
Huh. Okay. Well, I maybe if I saw it again, I would agree and be like, oh yeah, I can see what you mean. But yeah, last night I was just interested in figuring out where everyone was at and stuff, and wanting to know, how it was that him and Donnie would end up getting together on this, because at the beginning of the movie, it really doesn't feel like that's where this can go because he's
Right.
he's still chasing him. But yeah, okay. Well, so I'm giving it a good. You're giving it a bad, and I think that means it's okay. But that's not one of our ratings, so we shan't use it.
Well, considering there's not much else competition for it this weekend either, and it's R-rated for language and violence. It's not.
There's a lot of F-bombs in this.
Yeah. So don't take your kids to see this.
Yeah, no, don't. I
It's
can't
always
believe
funny.
I have to say that. It's rated R, but we do.
we do. Like, we had to say that because I saw the one afternoon with the mom and 3 kids going to see Nosferatu. And I was like, yeah.
No, don't do that. That the kids, they are not ready for the symbolism between repressed sexuality and all of the other things. They're not ready.
I thought it was funny. My daughter hated it.
Because it's spoopy or what?
She just did. I just think she's not old enough to appreciate it.
Maybe.
And, the art of filmmaking. And she's young, so.
Fair enough. All right. Well, that's the spoiler-free review. I think if you like the first one, for the most part, you're going to get some of the same stuff in this one.
Yeah.
If you don't care about the character stuff, skip to the halfway point.
I just thought there was less than the first one. That's just my opinion.
Less character stuff? Or?
No, it was more character stuff, which I didn't mind. Just like it just seemed to drag.
Yeah, there's one scene in particular where I was like, I don't know if this really is necessary.
Well, the part in the disco where they're drinking and getting high.
Yes,
that went on way too long. But although it's funny, it is. But it went on.
Yeah.
And to only prove a very, very small plot point in there, too.
Which it wasn't really even necessary.
No,
but
it wasn't. And I think there's a couple other scenes like that, too. That's why I had problems with this.
Okay, fair enough. All right, well, let's get into spoilers. Maybe I'll change my mind by the end of this.
Okay.
I don't know. Spoilers ahead for Den of Thieves 2 Pantera, which, for those of you who aren't world travelers like Andy and I, means Panthers. So you probably wouldn't catch that if you watched the movie.
It's not based on the band name.
No, not at all.
Because it's somebody here at work said that, well, why did they name it after the band?
and I was just like, oh, my sweet summer child.
Idiot.
Well, that's the shorter way to say it. Yeah.
I'm like, no, it means panther. I'm like, that's what the movie is supposed to. I just had to shake my head and walk away.
Because the Panthers in this movie are the French police force.
Yeah.
Which, it's like, I saw someone online, maybe it was Hollywood Reporter or something, but the review was like, they're trying to, pull a John Wick Parabellum sort of title, but it doesn't really make any sense because they're barely in the movie. And I was like, yeah, you got a point there.
And then they introduced the tigers in the film too. Yeah, and I was like, oh my God.
And
really?
They barely exist. It's literally just one 30-second scene where the tigers are even a thing. So just call them, the arms dealers are here.
And then, well, even the small thing that, like the beginning of the film is the robbery on the plane and the diamond off of that ends up being owned by the mob.
Yep.
And then the mob has to come track it down, which has a GPS in it, which I kind of figured that early.
Yeah, how did they not? That's the thing is, like, Donnie's put forward as this whiz kid, but he also makes some of the dumbest mistakes. Like, even I would have looked for a GPS tracker, and I'm an idiot.
You're not an idiot.
Yeah, but I'm not good at crime.
You're not a criminal mastermind, though.
That's
either,
true.
So,
No, that's why I gave you the title of mastermind at the beginning of this episode, because it's definitely not me. I don't know. Like, just the not checking for the GPS tracker, and then that dumbfounded look on his face is like, I didn't catch that. And it's like, it's a giant diamond, you idiot.
Yeah, but I think it's funny that the Hasidic guy that they had checking it out was like, I'm done with that. Just hand me my commission.
Yeah, hand me my commission. Happy Hanukkah. Get out of my store. There were moments like that where I did kind of feel like, wait, what? But then it would move on to something fast enough that I didn't really think about it too much, and I was just like, okay, he made a mistake. Like,
and I think I was stuck back on that's why it was hard for me to move past those things in this film.
That's fair. Yeah. So I think one of the other reviews I read said he's throwing set pieces at you fast enough that you're not really stopping to think about the if any of it makes sense.
See, I didn't read any reviews about this at all. I
read them this morning after I wrote my notes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I always write my review before going and looking at what other people say. That way, when I talk about it on the show, I can go like, here's my point of view review coming out of the movie, and then sometimes I'll go and look up other reviews just to see because I saw it had 67%, and I was like, that doesn't make sense to me. Like, this is fun, and then it's interesting to see the other side of things. Maybe I should stop doing that though. After all, they're not paying for time on here.
I know
the Hollywood Reporter.
There's been press screenings for Wolfman that I've been really staying away from those articles because
I'm trying to go in blind.
I don't want any influence on what I'm going to see. Actually, I should say what we're going to see for that next week.
Yeah, I want to go in as blind as possible.
Yeah.
I saw there was a spoiler that shows what the Wolfman looks like. I didn't click on that. I was like, nope, not doing it. I want to look at it in the movie theater. I know that it's all practical effects, so I'm excited for that.
You shared that,
but that's all I know about it. So yay. But yeah, this one, it's the Diamond Heist. I think is fun because now that I know the budget was $40 million, which is a low budget for a big movie like this. I'm just like, man, they did a lot with that money, all the stunt work and all that stuff.
If anything, the locations, I will get the photography and everything on this film is really good.
Yes.
And I really like how the film looks. I do.
Yeah, it looks very pretty.
It's very hard to get past the pacing on this film for me. And that's why I ultimately give it a bad.
Maybe I was enamored by the way it looked. I mean, the guy who did this, the cinematographer, did Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard, Den of Thieves, A Dog's Purpose, Elvis and Nixon. I don't even know what that is. The Confirmation. I mean, he's done a bunch of stuff, but they're not he did Dear John in 2010.
I like that movie.
P.S. I Love You, The Nanny Diaries. So yeah, this guy's done.
So that's where Gerard Butler probably had an influence on this guy too, because he's producer on this film.
Yes,
because he was in P.S. which I think is the creepiest love story movie ever made.
It's the one where he has
he dies and leave all these
the
letters
letters
for Horseface Hillary Swank to. Yeah, I
generally I think you should probably end your marriage when they die. Not that everyone in Nosferatu agreed with that.
I just think that the mental torture that you inflict on the person that you left behind for that, it's just incredibly creepy to me. And Jessica and I have argued about this because, of course, she loves it.
Yeah,
because she buys into the Hallmark mentality of these things too. That I'm like, I just roll my eyes at. But I'm just like, it's creepy.
I mean, just very quickly, what he leaves letters that are clues to what?
It's to her taking a trip and to have memory, to remember him in a good way of all these things that are linked together after he's dead.
I see. So he planned for that.
Yeah.
Did he know he was going to die? Is that the plot, or does he just die at war?
I don't remember enough. I only saw it once.
I don't know.
It's not rom-coms. I'm not, or even romantic films. I don't see more.
Yeah. It's the dramatic romance films are not as much fun as romance.
There's only a couple romance films that I really go back to. Singles is one of them, just because it's set in early 1990s Seattle when the grunge scene was huge, and it's set to the backdrop of that club scene.
Oh, okay.
And I think the stories in that are authentic enough, and I really like Cameron Crowe, that director. That did also another romantic movie that I love, Say Anything, with John Cusack.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
I keep forgetting that was
I like
Crowe.
the films that Cameron Crowe did. Almost Famous is probably my favorite.
A lot of people, go nuts from.
And I hate Kate Hudson, but that's the one film I can actually watch her in.
Interesting. This one I think looks really good though. Terry Stacey does a really good job with it. There's a lot of shallow depth of field stuff where I was just sitting there going, oh, I feel for the focus puller, because trying to get he's going from Gerard Butler's ear to his eye and then back to, because Gerard Butler's not standing still. It's just if you've ever pulled focus for someone else is operating the camera, you have to watch where they're moving so you know whether to roll in or out and keep it in focus like that. It's a nightmare, and they did really good. Good job, guys.
Even the whole Gerard Butler thing as being the ugly American kind of got old after a while.
Ugly American? Did they say that, or did they just say stupid American?
Well, I was trying to be nice about it. Stupid American is more.
I'd rather be stupid than ugly.
Because the whole thing with
stupid
him
pretty
saying,
people can make money.
The whole thing with him is saying croissant the entire film.
I loved it. Because there's the part where he almost gets arrested.
Yeah.
And he said, wait, I'm going to make you guys proud. croissant. And the one thing he was told was not to pronounce
3
the
more
T.
stages down the road in the film when he's still doing that. That's when I'm like, okay, let's.
I love a bad gag. You know me. I mean,
Yeah,
it's one of those things where it's like just always pointing out that Chevy Chase is funny to me even now. That's the only problem I have with that one movie that's really good is that there's not enough running gags in G-Force. And
Okay.
But that's my only complaint about the movie. Other than that, perfect. But yeah, this one. Okay, so we start out with the plane heist, which is well executed. They get away in a truck. I like all that. And
I
then
do too.
We cut to Nick. He's divorced now for being a jerk.
Yep.
But then things get confusing. This is one thing I was confused about because he's still trying to find a way to go after Donnie.
Yeah.
And so he goes into the Federal Reserve and he's like, give me, jurisdiction to go and do this. Give me something, a bolo, something, because then I can pursue him. And they say, no, because we absolutely do not want anyone to know that the Federal Reserve was right. And so, but the FBI guy who hated him in the first movie is now kind of his buddy and gives him information. And then he has this U.S. Marshal badge that's expired. So he doesn't actually have jurisdiction, but he can flash the badge and people will think he does.
Right.
So he's still employed as a police officer at this point, correct?
Yes.
Okay, but then he gets to France, and when he runs into Donnie says that the word on the street is that they fired him.
Right.
Did they ever explain how that would be the word that Donnie heard on the streets?
No. They didn't.
Because I was like, maybe I missed something while I was taking a leak. I don't know.
No.
Okay, cool. So the movie just took a leak all over sense and common decency.
Cool. Because I was even sitting there because I thought there would be something to set that up. That's how that word got spread. No, there was nothing.
They set up the FBI guy will back him up as being currently a U.S. Marshal, but that never comes into play.
Right. No. So the whole thing, I guess, is somewhere along the line, the U.S. Marshal leaked that he had been fired, and that's where he got the street credibility to go into Europe.
Maybe so.
But that's all.
It kind of just gets like glossed over.
Right.
Yeah. And
that's all kind of to your perception of what you think happened, not what you saw on screen.
That was something that did bother me because I was like, why would he have heard that on the streets in L.A.? And also, who has he got in L.A. still sending him like, hey, that guy Nick that tried to shoot you, he got fired. Like, who's doing that?
Yeah, because the rest of the crew from the first one, they got killed. And then the guys that
Spoilers
did survive...
for 2018's Den of Thieves, I guess.
Yeah, went to... the first one ends with, I thought they were in England, or it seemed that way. Because the guys are speaking like English
it's very
or Irish.
British, but they say it's the Diamond District in that one,
right?
And then this is the Diamond District, but
that's
in France.
That's where I'm like, well, the continuity is lost from the first one to the second one, then too.
But possibly that was they pulled a heist there, and then this is a secondary thing, and I don't know. Like,
so is there a Phantom movie in between these two that we missed?
We're gonna get Pantera 1.5 with Timon and Pumbaa probably.
Is it going to be a flashback with Timon and Pumbaa narrating?
Yeah, I would kill for that, but myself. But
you got spared Mufasa.
Thank God. This one though, it just kind of has that weird stuff in it where you're like, yeah, there are some things that just don't quite make sense, and I'm sure the director could be like, no, I explained it here, and we go, oh, okay. But if he can't, and he goes, yeah, we actually kind of had to cut that out, I'd be like, then why didn't you just edit that part out of the movie?
Right.
That being said, though, I love a diamond heist. God help me.
Yeah.
I love them. But this movie is really dirty cop goes dirtier and then doesn't and then does again. Yeah. And that's kind of the plot. But I do think that there's some good character stuff in here, kind of, finding out why Donnie does what he does. It gives you an understanding of who he is and that he has motivations beyond I want money. And I think that's, an interesting angle to his whole story about how
then
he
this
started
whole
casing
thing
neighborhoods as a
where
kid.
Where they're supposed to be menaced by the mob, that they don't seem very menacing. Like they drop him off the back of a boat.
Now, hold on. He's negatively buoyant, okay?
Another scene that was kind of like that went on far too long.
It's funny. I love that scene. I totally have to disagree with you there because they drag him out there and they pull their mask. their hoods off and they're just like, you stole this, get it back. And then they just shove them in the water and leave. I'm like, that's kind of a baller move right there. Like I would absolutely be like, all right, don't mess around with these guys because they're okay with me dying out here.
I was waiting for sharks.
And they start joking about it. And my favorite moment of the whole movie is when Gerard Butler goes, well, what do you think? We swim. And Donnie goes, where? And he's like, to Panama. To the shore, dum-dum. And it's like, just throwing, they've been dropping F-bombs constantly, and just calling someone a dum-dum in that situation was so funny to me. I was like, that's just great. I love it that he's just like, to the shore, dum-dum.
Yeah.
It's such a childish insult, and I think that fits Nick's character really well, too. So it's like, it's a nice character moment, and it's just, like, lighthearted compared to everything else. And like Nick wanting to pull out because of the mob being involved, I think is an interesting angle that they don't do enough with.
Right. It's almost kind of, one of those things that we pick on other films for bringing something up and then dropping it.
Yeah.
And that seems to happen a couple of different times in this films too, that it's hard for me to
I think the thing that they're trying to do though is like he does have, the thing is there's that scene and he says, I'm out, I draw the line at the mob. They go after families, they don't care. And it's like, okay, he obviously wants to protect his family just in case.
Right.
But then he goes home and dries off and just gets a call from Donnie. And Donnie's like, you feeling it? He's like, yeah, I'm feeling it. And then it's just
glossed over.
Whatever. Who cares if your two girls get killed by the Sicilian mob? That's fine.
I guess he's figuring, well, it's child support I don't have to pay.
Good Lord. But that scene felt weird to me that he just flip-flopped. But then at the same time, the thing they're trying to do is that Nick and Donnie have a mutual respect for one another, especially at that point because they've already been through the getting drunk and high scene to prove that Nick's not a cop because quote unquote cops don't do drugs.
Right. That's the scene I thought was the funniest.
It was funny, but like every time I see a scene where it's like, oh, this character is gonna have a drug trip, I'm just like, yeah, I know how this works. The only time that's ever been really funny to me is in what is it called? The stuntman one?
Fall Guy.
That one, because there was a horse, and I don't know why, but that tickled me. And this one, I'm just like, yeah, okay, we get it. Like, they could have just cut from that to him dancing with the girl and like shortened that scene quite a bit.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that one does drag on a little bit. Like, I get what they're doing. They're trying to show like a little bit of the personalities of these people. But
I was hoping he'd piss on the police car when they were.
That would have been.
That
funny.
would have been funny. Yes, that's. And they almost kind of set up for that too, and then they didn't do it. I was like,
cowards.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, like the thing about that scene is that it's there to set up that he's having kind of a love moment, love story with Cleopatra, who is I think her real name is Giovanna in the movie.
Yeah.
And she and him have like a couple of moments, but it again doesn't go anywhere.
Right, and that's like that. The girl that played that character too was really good, and they very underused.
I think so too. Yeah, she's mostly on Overwatch, and it's like get her to do something else.
Yeah, she was more than just a pretty face and body. Though, like she actually could act.
Yeah, I thought so
and
too.
That's kind of rare. I was like, well, why don't you guys do more with that?
Yeah, and I suppose this one very much is trying to set up a sequel. So I suppose they're probably going to bring her back because they didn't kill everyone at the end of this, so they could still use them. But
I don't think it's going to get a third one though.
You don't?
No.
It was 1.3 million in Thursday night previews.
Yeah, that's not great.
Not very much though. But the thing is, if this movie makes its money back on video on demand and sales later, like they'll do another one because that's really where the first one made its money was actually post theatrical run.
Yeah.
And that being said, I'm glad I saw this in theaters because the kind of scale and scope of it plays better, I think, on a big screen with this one.
It does.
The first one, I didn't feel I lost out on too much with seeing it on a smaller screen because the gunplay is really good.
It did look better in the theater, though.
Oh, well, sure. It always does. I'm just saying, like, this one, that heist scene, I think, would be a lot less exciting on a smaller screen.
And I really don't remember the character in the big Merriman's girlfriend at the beginning of the second one that he shakes down.
It looked like a different actress to me.
I don't even remember the character from the first one.
Oh, you don't?
And I just watched it the night before again.
Well, the thing is, the girl is the one that he like. That's how Merriman gets Nick's phone number in the first one, because Nick goes to the strip club and hooks up with that stripper, and then Merriman shows up there, and she's naked in the kitchen and runs off, and then Nick comes out of the bathroom and they have that standoff.
I really
That's that
don't
character.
remember that.
I turned to say something to Hannah during that scene when we watched it at home. And so I just like picked up the remote and paused and started talking to her. And she was like, "Why did you pause it here?" And I turned and it was just a shot of this woman's butt. I was like, "I'm not looking at that. I'm talking to you." But yeah, I need to find out if that's the same actress, because it looked like a completely different person to me. When he first picked her up, I was like, "Who is this? Why are they so comfortable?" Maybe I'm just wrong. I don't know. Wait, she's an executive producer? This must be the same girl. Den of Thieves, Pantera, Holly also executive producer. I'm pretty sure Holly's the character.
How did she get to... Would she put like $10,000 into this thing and got to be executive producer?
Hey, when the budget's this low, that's actually a good percentage of the budget.
And that's probably from her real life stripper money.
Meadow Williams. That's oh no, hold on. Yeah, Meadow Williams. She's a producer on this and was the same actress as the first one. Okay, I just have face blindness, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, that whole story was interesting too, because she's like, that doesn't go anywhere either though. Because at the beginning she says, "Get me my portion, my man's cut of the money, or everyone will see that you had relations with me. I've got this photo on my phone or whatever." And I'm just like, okay, so maybe that's his motivation for switching sides. But then he just doesn't. So yeah, I don't understand that. I don't know.
So that's what I said. It's stuff like that was in this film that made me not like it.
I'm starting to come around on that. I was caught up in the story of like of Donnie and Nick while watching it, but yeah, I think I'm starting to understand where you're coming from. I didn't expect it to be as buddy cop as it was, and I enjoyed that part of it, but.
And I think that was another reason why I didn't like it as much either. I liked it when they were more at odds.
Yeah, it was cat and mouse.
In the first one.
And they definitely end this one kind of in like frenemy territory.
Yeah, because, the whole thing that was predictable was Donnie getting sprung from the transporter. I saw that coming like a mile away.
Yeah.
And him, when Gerard Butler's driving away and then drives around and goes back, and I'm like... that's also setting up for a sequel, too.
I'm not sure how Gerard Butler's involved in that, because the last thing he says to Donnie when he leaves is sit in the back left. And I was like, wait, that came out of nowhere. Is that what he actually said? And then when they put him in the car, I was like, okay, yeah, he said sit in the back left. That makes sense. Okay, fine. But I don't understand how Gerard Butler is involved in that rescue attempt, because does that mean that the mob guys called Nick?
Yeah.
And got him involved, because right before he meets up in the jail cell, there's a moment where the mob guy is reading the paper and sees that Donnie was arrested, and then he picks up his phone and looks up menacingly, and it's a very much like a criminal shot, and so they don't explain that, and it's fine. It doesn't have to explain it, but I would just, for a moment, I was like, so is he in the mob now? But he just turned everyone in.
But that's the classic blunder on action films too. Is like there's a lot of stuff like that that's never explained.
Yeah.
And the problem is that it falls into that trap more than once here, that it gets to the point that it's just not very good.
Yeah, that's fair. I still liked it though. I don't know. I'm torn.
I'm not trying to convince you that it's a bad movie. I'm just I'm just having my opinion on it.
The thing is, I agree with you in principle, but then on the other hand, I'm just like, but I had a fun time watching it.
Right. Well, it's almost like Horizons. That's a bad movie.
Yeah.
But we liked it.
Endlessly entertaining.
Solely for technical reasons.
Yeah, it's just like, what is this? Because there's really good scenes, but as a movie, what is this?
But funny being around my family around the holidays this year, that's the one film that always came up that they asked me about and what I thought. And I was like, well, number one, listen to the podcast. Number two,
cowards.
I'm like, technically, it's a great film. outside of that, it's a train wreck.
Yeah. What is that movie?
So how do I recommend like something like that? That there's parts missing, there's time missing, there's characters that come in and out of there that you have no idea where they came from or where they went. And
it's Cotton Eye Joe as a movie.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So I said, for the most part, I told people stay away from it.
Yeah.
And
I think if you're like a film student, you can watch it and learn a lot about like
how not to make a movie.
How not to make a movie, but how to make a scene.
I still think the one film that should be assigned to film school students the first year is The Disaster Artist.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just for number one.
G-Force.
Number one, because it's entertaining. Number two, that's really a textbook on how not to make a film.
Yeah. Don't shoot it in digital and film at the same time for no reason. For one. Maybe just choose one format.
Yeah. Tommy Wiseau.
What a dude. What a strange, odd dude.
I still hear that he's making another movie, though.
Yeah, apparently. I have no idea if I'll want to watch it or not yet.
No, I'm lining up for that thing.
I'm sure you are. Mister, I've seen all 3 human centipedes. Oh, my goodness.
I'm not proud of it. It's just a fact.
I'm just saying, you didn't have to tell me.
Well, in that second movie in that series is just so widely bizarre.
Yeah.
But then, did you read the... So the most like grossed out film of all time, I think, that I've ever seen, the Serbian film.
I know about the Serbian film. I refuse to watch
There's
it.
a documentary coming out about it, about the making of it.
Okay, now that might be interesting.
Yeah.
Or maybe it might be just as bad as a Serbian film.
Yeah, that's... That should have been for news, but I'm sorry. I had to
No,
share
that's
that.
fine. I think this is exactly the place where we should put it, right in the middle where we can forget about it.
Yeah.
So I did like the kind of, setting up for the heist bit where they're starting to figure out how they're going to overcome all the motion and thermal sensors and stuff and the low tech solutions to that.
And the shield.
The shield is interesting, and that's a real thing. Like the military actually has developed that.
But it's almost like, well, when did this switch gears and I'm watching Fast X?
Right, yeah. It gets a little kind of into that realm. It's definitely like Den of Thieves was very grounded. This one still is more grounded than an Ocean's 11 or Fast and Furious movie or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's kind of starting to lean that way.
Yeah.
But the guy who was watching the cameras and looked up and saw the shield, and you can clearly see the outline of the thing, and didn't do anything about it, it's his fault that the diamonds are gone.
Oh, yeah.
That's 110% his fault, because I would have seen that and been like, that's not a visual glitch. That is an object moving.
Yeah.
Like, you have to be stupid. Stupid. I mean, he's French.
Wow.
Okay, yeah.
Careful.
What are they going to do? Give up at me?
Make you eat escargot.
Oh, if you can catch me.
Yeah, Drew actually likes escargot.
Drew likes escargot?
Yeah, we had that on the cruise ship last summer.
Huh. So his taste in food is the same as his taste in movies.
He keeps trying to get Jessica to make escargot.
I love you, Drew. I'm
for him.
sorry.
And Jessica's like, no.
I'm not cooking snails. I can't
Right.
catch up to those.
Yeah.
But I'm kidding. I don't know if Jessica's a runner or not. Is she a runner?
Used to be.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then she can probably catch snails.
Yes,
Yeah.
she can.
We've caught a lot of snails in our backyard. When it gets wet, our house is covered in snails. It's the coolest thing. We go out and we try not to step on them. We call them our little friends. And we move them to a safe
Unless
area.
they're turbo.
Well, don't bring that up.
Or what was the other film that Drew and I really liked? Marcel, the shell with shoes.
The shell with shoes?
Yeah.
I've never even heard of this.
Yeah, it's like this documentary about this like little shell that's in this guy's house, and he has a whole family of other shells like living in his garden, and he's being raised by his grandmother. It's a really cute like kid film.
Marcel with shoes. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very endearing.
Are we going to watch that? Is it The Secret Life of Snails or something? What is that claymation looking one?
It's on like available to buy online. I know that, but
okay.
it got nominated for Golden Globe.
Huh.
The one from animation that got nominated that I know is on Apple right now that I really want to see is Flow,
Ooh, I don't know anything about that.
about a cat.
Huh.
And the area that he's living in gets dammed up and it turns into a lake, and kind of his journey.
So he has to become a catfish.
Kind of. But the stuff I saw for that, and for me, winning a Golden Globe is not that much of a triumph, to be honest. But what I saw of that film and the little pieces looked interesting enough for me to actually sit down and watch the entire thing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, be on the lookout for Flow, you called it?
Flow.
All right. So let's talk about the thing that was very much like oh, duh, that's coming. So at the beginning, there's the two guys who don't like Donnie as part of the crew.
Yeah.
And they do have one of the funniest moments where they go to... They're in charge of vehicles and transportation is kind of their main thing, getting the getaway route. And so they go and they literally just go to one spot, and Donnie goes, "No cameras out here," and they go, "Oui, boss." And he goes, "All right, this is the route." And I'm like, "Good job, boss." Like that. What a whiz kid. But they, the guy turns. He's like, "What does he want me to, do?" A sexual favor for him too, but he says it in French, and he's like, "What was that?" And he goes, "Aye, boss." And it's like, or "Sir, yes, sir, boss." And it's like, okay, that's funny. But then they get in the fight at the bar scene where they're drinking and stuff, and that's the one where I was just like, okay, these guys are going to ambush them later. Like they're going to split off because they're mad because Nick is flirting with this guy's ex. Right. Obviously, that's going to happen. And that's the one where I leaned over to Hannah and was like, this is what's going to happen later. And then it happened. And, it didn't seem necessary. I think the car chase could have happened with something else. It could have been police. It could have been the mob. It could have been,
I was hoping it would have been a mob. That would have been a little bit more interesting to me.
Yeah, I think it would have, like they're supposed to do, if you just set it up where they're supposed to do a drop of the diamond earlier, but something goes wrong in the plan and they have to get out of there to escape the police, and so the mob think they're ripping them off, but they're not actually. Then I think like that makes sense. And what happens is it comes to a standstill, and Donnie comes out and like says, "Whoa, hold on," and like that's where the mutual respect comes in, because the opening of this movie they say that these streets are different. Crime is old here, the streets are old, and respect is something that has to be. That has to be respected. The oldness of the criminal enterprise, and so oldness, the age, whatever. Anyway, and so I thought that maybe that would have been something that a misunderstanding there, but then Donnie fixes it by doing the thing he said he would do and showing that he's a respectable person. Whatever. I think that would have made more sense than just. These two guys are angry and they meet up with the Tigers and get some assault weapons. And it's like, but we already have the mob. We don't need them. You know? They're just kind of extra fodder for no reason.
Right. And that's where I think moments like that is when the pacing comes to a grinding halt and it gets kind of boring.
Yeah. And I like the car chase. Like that I think is a really, again, kind of like the end with the first movie. There's not a lot of music. There's no, it's not like dun 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 dun. It's just pop, 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 pop. Pop, pop. And the gun sound effects are fan-freaking-tastic.
And that's where I say, just because you've never seen it, you have to watch Heat. Heat's exactly like that. Michael Mann does the same thing, and it's very effective.
Yeah. It was the 80s, right?
No, 90s.
It was the 90s. Okay, cool. But yeah, I think that this has got that, that great end there. The problem is that that sequence is really good, but it's set up with the dumbest, excuse to have it, and ends with a Deus Ex Machina. Right. And so, like, the first Den of Thieves, I give it great, honestly. Like, I freaking enjoy that movie. This one is only good because of the Deus Ex Machina out of the end. Like, you want your characters to have to overcome things, not to be saved at the last moment by, someone else. And it's like, I don't know why Donnie would have had the mob's respect at that point. That's kind of a gray area for whether or not that makes sense. I can see in the context of the movie them going like, yeah, of course, like he was able to steal it. They're giving him a chance to bring it back. They want to see if he can do it, all that stuff. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it's like, I think, him having to, or maybe they just barely, Nick and Donnie and the other guy that's in the car, like just barely eke out a victory over the mob guys, and they shoot like 5 of them, and the only guy left is the main guy, and he steps out of the car to go and be like, fine, I'm gonna finish this myself, and Donnie steps out and puts his gun down, and like I think that would have made more sense,
right?
And because they would have earned the respect for doing better than the mob guys did, and for him still returning the diamond when he could have just shot the guy and run with it.
Right.
So yeah, that the Deus Ex Machina, I was like, oh, come on, like you're better than this.
And that's where it's hard for me to give a good to this film.
That's fair. That's very fair. Yeah, I don't know. I do think though that I enjoyed Nick, kind of the conflicting emotions that you can see. Gerard's performance is really good there.
Yeah,
Right? Once he turns in everybody at that meeting where they're trying to fence the diamonds and stuff, is like you can really see him struggling with that. And then I laughed really hard when he goes to meet Donnie in prison, and he comes in and the first thing he says is, well, that was fun. Just like, what are you doing, dude? I also like the symbolism when they first sit across the table in this movie. The shot is through the kind of big windows on Donnie's porch that's overlooking, and there's this line between them where the two windows meet, and they're separate while they're free. But then once they're in this jail cell, that's gone, and it mirrors that shot, and it kind of shows that separation between them, at the very least, is blurred, or it's not the same as it was.
Right.
They're still frenemies kind of at this point, but they have a mutual respect for one another. They've come together. That barrier between them has been, if it's not entirely gone, because Nick is still technically a free man here.
Right.
And Donnie's not. But it's certainly appears to have been dissolved. Right. And I liked that. And I was like, because when I saw the first shot, I almost leaned over to Hannah and went, just watch. Once they make an agreement, that the camera will be on the other side of that bar. And that didn't happen in that scene, but it did happen at the end. And I was like, I saw it. Good job, director. I saw it. But yeah, at the end, Tiger changes his stripes and the cat's out of the bag, which was very silly and I loved.
And all you could think of was Turtle, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely. Speaking of which, last night we set up another security camera, and I didn't have time to rig it for the front. So I put it in the bathroom. We locked Turtle in at night because she chews up all my cables. And she went to sleep, and then the first thing she did, I got a notification at 7:30 this morning. She woke up, stretched, jumped up on the countertop, and whacked the camera off the countertop. And it was just like, you woke up and you chose violence immediately. I don't understand your problem. My cat is a disaster. So
Turtle needs to go.
She does, but she never will because my wife loves her. So the things we do for the women we love.
Well, that's like Jessica and the dogs. And they'll never go in our house because Jessica knows I love Kaya and Bugsy.
Yep. And look, it's fair. She gets to have what she loves. I love her, and I get to have her. So
yeah,
my wife, not the cat. I don't care about the cat. Anyway.
Yeah, I've seen the scars from the cat, so I understand why.
They're still there. This was months ago. Oh,
that cat's vicious.
Yeah, and never mind the ones on my legs that are just like, because she'll jump up on my lap and then try to jump out really far from my lap, and she digs in and it's
take
just
a layer
like,
of skin with her.
Oh my goodness, L'chaim indeed. And so, all right, real quick, do you want to do our top 10 list from the year?
Yeah.
And I'm still going to sit it in a good category for Den of Thieves, but yeah.
It's bad.
I totally understand, and I don't disagree with you, but I had a fun time. So,
okay,
yeah, anyway.
Fair enough.
All right, so here's my thought. We'll start at number 10. Your number 10, then my number 10. We'll just go back and forth, and then I've got 2 honorable mentions, and then we've got the worst movie that we'll talk about at the end.
I have my honorable mentions, and I have 4 of them actually.
Okay, do you want to do those after or first?
We can do this first.
Okay.
And then I have my dishonorable mentions.
I also have one.
And I have 3 of those.
Okay, cool. So let's start with honorable mentions. You can just rattle yours off and then I'll rattle mine off.
Whitebird.
Didn't see it.
Yeah. Juror number 2.
I need to see it. Almost queued it up last night, but didn't have time.
Gladiator 2.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh, interesting.
And Inside Out 2.
Okay, yeah. I Inside Out 2 I should add to my list of honorable mentions. My honorable mentions, I just have the 2. It's Twisters, which I know you hate, but I just like the VFX part of it. I'm
but I didn't hate it enough to put it on my worst list.
And that's very shocking.
It's not on my worst list.
And then my other honorable mention is Monkey Man, which just has one of the best kitchen fight scenes I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I like Monkey Man, just not enough to put it on my best or honorable mentions.
Yeah.
And I still want to see The Brutalist.
Yes, yeah.
Since that technically was released last year.
Yeah, but in Canada, so it doesn't count.
Okay.
All right, you're number 10, Andy.
Beetlejuice 2.
Okay, all right. I should put that in my honorable mentions. I don't have it on my list.
Okay.
I have The Hitman.
Okay.
because I really just enjoyed how goofy that movie was,
Yeah.
and the fact that we got to see Glenn Powell doing something that's kind of off.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see more of that. I thought it was a fun movie, and
I did too.
weirdly enough, an internet movie of the week.
Yeah, and they should have released that in theaters. They really,
I think so too.
I think it would have done well because Glenn Powell's like stock is through the roof now.
Yeah, he after Anyone But You, especially like girls
Yeah.
will go see it too.
I hated that movie.
I couldn't finish it.
I fell asleep.
I wish I had, but instead I just turned it off.
Well, because Glenn Powell's okay, and
Sure.
I
It's Sydney Sweeney for you.
yeah, I just can't stand. And meanwhile, like Immaculate is not on my worst list either, just because I didn't even bother with it.
Sure, yeah. Yeah.
And all I kept hearing was pregnant, nude, none, and I was like, no.
Yeah, that's
Just not.
I
worth
know
it.
there's a whole subsect of people on the internet who were flocking to that, but I
me.
don't belong to them.
Nope.
Yep.
No, you're part of the Sonic ones.
Yeah. My next fanfic's coming out next week.
Okay. So number 9, what do you got, Garrett?
Oh no, it's you first.
Oh, okay. Furiosa.
Furiosa. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I have that on my list, but it's a little higher up. I have Dune Part 2.
Okay.
And I have a reason for this. So Dune Part 2 is cinema. No doubt about
Right.
it. Incredible production. So well done.
And it's
just not for me.
And it's funny that I had Dune Part 2 on my list and I took it off.
Did you really?
Yeah.
I really thought it was going to be higher on,
Because
on
there,
both of ours.
there was another film that I liked a lot more that I think did not get enough press, in my opinion.
Okay.
That I put that on in place of Dune, and that's the next one on my list, actually.
Yeah, the Hitman was just like one that I wanted to include because I really enjoyed it. But even though it's like it's nothing special really, but it just was fun.
It's worth seeing. Yeah.
Dune Part 2 is on my list almost out of obligation because the world of Dune, I know it's very important to sci-fi and all that stuff.
Right.
But just not something I find all that interesting.
No, that's fine. And
But
those-
the cinematography
I get
and
that.
the infrared photography on that one planet and stuff, and the way that they did it, Denis Villeneuve is one of the best directors working right now, and I have
is.
absolutely nothing against the movie. It just I was like, okay,
So you need to go back and see some of his earlier films too, like
Yeah.
The Arrival and
Arrival's great. I love Blade Runner 2049,
and
Prisoners has been on my
Prisoners,
list since
that's-
it came out.
Prisoners is the one that you need to see.
Yeah, I really want to see that.
Yeah.
It looks so good.
It's a tough film though.
I'm sure. Yeah.
I think it's hard for me too because I have kids.
Yes.
So it kind of strikes a chord with me with that, but it's a really, really good movie.
Yeah. I want to see that so bad.
Yeah.
I will do it before the end of this year.
Okay. You got a whole year.
Oh goodness, that's not long enough. All right, you're number 8.
Number 8. So this is where initially I had Dune Part 2.
Okay.
And I took it off to put in this film because I liked it more than I did Dune. And like I didn't think it got a fair shake at the theaters was Bike Riders.
I thought this would be on your list.
Yeah.
This was one that I looked at and went, that wasn't like, it's really good, but it wasn't something I like that stuck with me, but I knew it would for you.
Yeah. I love films like that because it just patterns Goodfellas enough where it doesn't rip it off.
Sure.
But it's the same pacing, same setup as sub story. And I really like Tom Hardy in this. I really like the female lead in this. And it was probably like my favorite movie out of the summer beside Furiosa.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I don't know why it didn't stick with me because the performances are good. It looks fantastic. It's but I and like Joy, what's her name? Who plays the lead?
Comer.
Jodie Comer. She's fantastic in it and stuff. Yeah, it just was one of those that I was like, that was really good, and then kind of forgot about it.
Well, because when we did that for the podcast, you were kind of so about it when we did that, and I was the one that really liked it a lot more than you did.
I liked everything. I liked the pieces of it, but like as a whole, it wasn't. I don't know. It just didn't resonate with me particularly. But that's not a mark against the movie. That's more probably because I'm a child.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
My number 8, I have Furiosa.
Okay.
I really loved the performance of Dementis in that, and it definitely looks a little different from
George Miller does not he's he's made all those films and he's made a career out of it. And this one was no exception. I just
did not get a fair shake at the
I
at
was
the
just
movie
so
theaters.
disappointed at how poorly that film did. And I really thought it was going to be a lot bigger.
Yeah. And I thought Anya Taylor-Joy's performance was really good in it. I that world is so weird and off, and
it's
I
awesome.
enjoyed it. Yeah, it's awesome. And I honestly, I think I kind of, there were parts of it I liked more than I liked Fury Road, and and there's parts of Fury Road that I thought were better than.
There's
Furiosa,
definitely more of a story to that than there is Fury Road. For as much as I like Fury Road too, and maybe it was just the runtime on that was off-putting to a lot of people because it was 2 hours and 40 minutes.
It does not feel like it.
No, and that was my whole thing. I'm like, that movie moves really.
Oh my
and
goodness!
That's Den of Thieves 2 needed to take a page from. Pacing in Furiosa was just so amazingly wow.
Yeah, it just kept rolling along.
Yeah.
I had no idea it was that long at all.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious. Yeah, Furiosa though, like if you haven't seen it, check it out. It's really fantastic.
It's on Max.
Yeah. All right, you're number 7, Andy.
Number 7. This one's gonna come out of left field for you. I really like this film. You probably have not seen it. The Substance.
Okay, I still haven't seen this, but it might have been on my list if I had.
I just think it's a 2 hour and 20 minute. It's classified as a horror film. I think it's a lot more intelligent than that. And I really like the French woman that made this. It's just a slap in the face to Hollywood and feminism and, body shaming and all this other stuff that everybody takes for granted and just gives a big middle finger to it. And I absolutely love it.
Yeah, and Demi Moore got a Golden Globe for it.
She did, and she's really good in that. And the woman that plays her younger counterpart, I can never pronounce
Margaret Qualley.
Right. She's really good in that, and she's a great up and coming actress. And I really,
I've
although
seen
she's on one of my worst.
Is she really?
In a food film that's on one of my worst lists too for this year.
A little bit of sizzle for later.
Yeah, but Substances, like you said, you've seen like the main part where Demi Moore's face gets wiped off the Hollywood, but there's a lot more to that film, and it's really good.
I've seen the spoiler of the big blob she becomes, and that's some David Cronenberg stuff.
It is, but it's still done really well.
Yeah. I do plan to watch this.
Okay.
So my number 7 is Gladiator 2.
Okay.
And if not for any reason except that I love that it just put a middle finger up to the highfalutin historians who don't think that Romans knew what sharks were.
Or rhinos.
Or rhinos. Oh man, some of the stuff in that movie is so fun, and it's not as good as the first Gladiator, but it has some really interesting stuff. And I
thought it was just as good. I really did like it.
I think the first one still sticks with me more like emotionally. I think the first one has
especially
a bit more
the
heart.
last half of the original one.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, Gladiator 2 is it talk about spectacle over everything else. It kind of is, but there are some the story about the main character and his mom and like how like that was very touching to me. And Denzel Washington is just doing the most bombastic performance I've ever seen him do, and it's crazy and awesome. I really enjoyed it.
But he's got one of the funniest death scenes ever when he gets his hand chopped off and he makes it like that fart face. It was very hard for me not to laugh at that when we saw it.
Yeah. And then later on in the year, Sonic 3 comes out and the main villain dies with an actual fart, and I just think that's hilarious.
Still haven't seen Sonic 3. Although Drew's coming this weekend, so...
Oh, you're going to see Sonic 3 then?
Probably.
Hey, at least it's not Mufasa again.
Thank God.
God bless you.
Yeah.
Number 6, Andy, what you got?
No shocker here. Long Legs.
Okay, yeah, I haven't seen this one yet.
It was my favorite horror film of the year. Okay. Nicolas Cage's best performance outside of G-Force. And it's
a new year and the same old us. I love it.
It's Silence of the Lambs and 7, and after seeing 7 again this past weekend, it definitely reaffirmed like Osgood Perkins took a lot of those other films, combined it, made it his own, and just made a really, really good, engaging horror film that I really liked. And it actually is not just shock and gore and violence. It has a thought and a brain and a story to it that I really enjoyed.
Yeah, that's I want to see it. I know you said it might put me off, but But I don't know. Texas Chainsaw Massacre is like a singular
Well-
problem for me. And don't worry, it's not on my list of worst because it technically doesn't count.
Yeah, because it was released in 1974.
Yeah, it missed the mark by about 50 years.
Yes.
But I do want to see this one.
Yeah.
So we'll see if it sets off my sensitive.
And Osgood
heart.
Perkins' new film comes out in a couple months too. The Monkey that I really
yeah.
want to see.
I've just seen the poster for it. I'm just like, that looks weird. I'll go for it. It kind of looks like a dumb, Blumhouse movie from the poster, but if it's something more than that, then that'll be fun.
I think it is. And it kind of reminds me a lot of George Romero's like non-zombie film Monkey Shines. That reminds me of too. And I think he's going to improve on that. I want to see it. And especially him establishing himself with long legs. I want to see this too as his follow up to see if he's just a one hit wonder or if he actually knows what he's doing.
And it's possible he's just doing like one for me, one for them, one for me, one for them. You know, the monkey might just be okay, here's a dumb horror movie for like $30. Great.
It doesn't look like a dumb horror film though. It looks a little bit better than that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it could be good, could be bad. We have no idea, but we'll review the heck out of it.
Yep.
My number 6 is Saturday Night. I enjoyed Saturday Night a lot.
I do have that on the list too.
I figured you would, yeah. And it really shocked me that it wasn't higher on my own list. But the more I thought about it and stuff, I'm like, it's really good. But there's other stuff that I either was just like more fun and like full transparency. As we get closer to the top, it's less about like the actual quality of the film and more just about what I enjoyed.
Right.
But yeah, Saturday Night was really, really good. I loved that they pointed out that Chevy Chase is and so I think that's great. And I it's just so tightly constructed and stuff. It can't not be on the list.
Yeah.
It's very,
and
very
just
good.
another overlooked film for this year. Like
Absolutely.
Sony really screwed up with that
I
thing.
know. And I used to think like critics were idiots because they'd only praise these movies that no one cared about. But now that I'm seeing more of those, I'm like, oh yeah, the general movie going audience is dumb. Anyway, come to Grand Avenue Theaters and watch movies here. And
And I opened two other thought-provoking films outside of Pantera this week. So
that's right, yeah.
Last Showgirl, which I really, really want to watch.
Yeah.
And Homestead, which was kind of a leftover from Christmas that we had the room.
Yeah.
And I was like, let's play it.
I have got to see Homestead. I've missed every Angels Studios movie, and I need to give them a chance. I really do.
Yeah. Angels, like, even they say that they don't like being branded a Christian studio because they're really not.
Yeah.
They're just they're a little bit more different in their approach to filmmaking and what they will put money into.
Right, yeah.
But I kind of respect them for that.
Yeah, having a moral standard on the stuff that you're willing to put money behind, but not. I've always, I've talked about this before, I think, but sneaky evangelism was always kind of what I wanted to do when making movies. I wanted to make movies that just had good values, or when someone does something wrong, or like very clear about going, this is wrong.
So Homestead's going to be interesting because it's a post-apocalyptic film that Angel Studios is putting out. And it's got Neil McDonough in it, and I really like him.
I like him too. Like, I know he's done some stinkers, but like he's solid enough and fun to watch.
Is.
And he always really goes for it.
It's just a shame that he's blacklisted in Hollywood because he won't do a sex scene, and because his priorities are God, family, and not doing a sex scene. And
It's so funny to me that they're like, wait, this guy with white hair and a reasonably attractive face won't get naked? Never hire him. It's
right.
just like,
no, that's what
who
happened.
was clamoring for that? I mean, look, if it was Glenn Powell, I'd understand. But but Neil McDonough, he's been old since the 80s.
Since he did Walking Tall with Dwayne Johnson.
He's been white-haired and older-looking gentleman for so long.
He's consistently a good bad guy.
Yes, he is. Yeah.
So,
which is why he was in that other one, the
Shift.
The Shift. Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He played the devil.
Yeah. Oh goodness. Hollywood's weird. Anyway.
Yeah.
What's your number 5 in? We're in the top 5.
Okay, number 5. Wicked.
Okay. That's exactly what I have at number 5. I wondered if we would get one like this. Yeah, Wicked is just I freaking hate musicals, but it is undeniably entertaining. And I love the filmmaking of it, and I will be watching it again at some point.
I hate musicals. I hate The Wizard of Oz, and I hate Ariana Grande, but I really, really like this movie.
Yeah, and I don't even like Cynthia Erivo after learning more about her
Oh, really?
Oh, not going to get into it on the show. It's personal. Like, I don't disagree with that. But anyway, Wicked is it just is good.
Yeah.
It's a good
practical filmmaking at its best, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. Oh goodness. All right, number 4.
This is where I had Saturday Night.
Okay, so you got Saturday Night at number 4. I think well deserved.
Yeah.
For sure. I at number 4 have Nosferatu.
I have that too, but higher.
I figured it would be 1 or 2 for you, honestly.
I'm not going to tell you.
Yeah, I like the sizzle. Nosferatu is just like, it wasn't the movie I had the most fun with this year, but it was like,
filmmaking.
It was film, and I enjoyed so much about it, and I enjoyed learning more about the history behind the story of how Nosferatu is a ripoff of Dracula, and the back and forth on like the different versions where people have like stolen more from Dracula or dropped it or whatever.
And it's hard to deny Robert Eggers as a director to. He's established himself now, and
yes,
he's probably going to be getting a lot more scripts, but I think that he's very picky about what he does.
Yeah, apparently he tried to make a Frankenstein movie and then quit after 2 weeks because, quote, it just sucked.
Yeah, but at
that's
least
really funny.
So what does that say about the director that knows that he won't put out a product that he's not happy with? I commend him for that, definitely.
Michael Bay, take notes.
Yes.
But, no, who are we kidding? Michael Bay thinks every movie he's made is the best thing ever made.
Well, I told you about the one year I went to CinemaCon, and the first night we screened Pain and Gain, and he came out and introduced the film, and his exact words were, "This is a big F you to everybody that doesn't think I can't do a movie under $100 million." And halfway through the film was like, and why did you pick this one?
Right, yeah.
I hate that movie really much.
The FU was not that he did it for under $100 million. The FU was that he got people to watch it and he tricked them into wasting their time.
Well, he had a captive audience. It was all industry people first night at CinemaCon.
Idiots.
Yep.
Anyway, Nosferatu, though, really fantastic filmmaking. And you can listen to our review on it. It really is like, this is one of those things that goes, big screen, got to see it there. Yeah. All right, here we go. Top 3. Okay. Number 3, Andy, where you got?
Heretic.
Okay, interesting. Okay, I have Wolves at number 3.
Okay.
Heretic may be on my list as well. I shan't tell you yet.
Wolves is too. So,
So Heretic. You want to talk about that now, or talk about it when it comes up on my list?
We can talk about it when it comes up on your list.
Okay. So, what's your number 2 then?
Wolves.
It's Wolves. Okay. So we're just kind of flip flop there. I liked Heretic more as a thought experiment.
Yes.
I liked Wolves more as an entertainment product.
Yes.
But because I tend to go more towards the things that make me think as an interest, then Heretic won out for me by just a hair.
And Heretic definitely does that. And Hugh Grant's performance.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, so good. And I just think the whole movie is, it's this small contained thing, but it's dripping with atmosphere, and it's such a weird movie, and I enjoyed that a lot.
Yeah, I did too. I really didn't like calling Heretic a horror film either. It's definitely more of a suspense thriller.
Yeah.
And just watching,
and the horror elements like may or may not be a manipulation, and
right. Watching Hugh Grant just go along with that story, and the 2 women that he has captive are just great. A24, really, that's like the best one they put out this year.
Yeah, and the 2 lead actresses are fantastic. And Topher Grace is in it just enough to not be a problem. I just think overall it was a really fantastic film. And Wolves also was like I said, it's orchestrated in a way that's so satisfying, and the performances are great, and the story is like just twisting enough that keeps you like, you're not in the dark, but you're not 100% sure where it's going to end up. And I'm so sad that there's not going to be a sequel to it. Like it stands alone and doesn't need one, but I would have loved more from those characters.
If anything, just to watch Brad Pitt and George Clooney again in a film, and that was just really good.
Yeah, they nailed every freaking moment in that, and it just has so much character, and the guy running in his underwear through the streets is such a funny sequence. Like, I don't know how it stays funny, but it does.
It does.
And so I just if you haven't seen Wolves, it's on Apple TV.
It's on Apple Plus.
It's worth paying the $10 for the month to watch it.
Even if
honestly.
you just like sign up for the free trial, watch Wolves, and then cancel it.
Yeah, it's that good. It is.
It is.
I will probably be if it. Can you buy it? Because I don't want special features.
I don't think so.
Okay, yeah, that's
and that's one too that I really what Apple and Sony were thinking about not widening the distribution of that and releasing in theaters. You're an idiot.
Yeah, absolutely the dumbest boneheaded move. Brainheaded move? What am wrong with
boneheaded?
Me? Speaking of boneheads,
yeah,
just one of the boneheaded things I've ever seen.
Because that if it had a wider release, that film I think really would have done better.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Okay, all right. We're there. It's the number one pick of the year. I'm so interested to see if we pick the same thing. Andy.
We didn't.
We didn't.
No.
Okay. So it's something that's already been on my list.
Yes.
Okay. All right. What is your number one for the year?
Nosferatu.
Oh, yeah. Of course. Duh. What? I'm stupid. Yeah. No, that makes total sense.
I thought you'd be happy I didn't put a complete unknown on my list.
Very happy. I would have had to. I would have had to go edit your list, log into your iCloud, erase the note. Nosferatu, well deserved, honestly.
I'm really hoping that when it comes, a couple weeks as Academy Award nominations, and they reveal, we probably know that Wicked is going to get the lion's share of everything. The one that I secretly am keeping my fingers crossed for is Nosferatu.
Yeah,
and that it beats Wicked. And just sucks the life out of it, no pun intended.
Oh, that was intended. Don't even.
Yeah, it was intended. I'm not going to lie. But
no pun intended by the rear.
And it's not because it's a vampire film and it's dark and it should have been shot in black and white, but just amazing filmmaking.
Yeah.
And it's the one film... that I have not been able to get out of my head. And unfortunately, we lost it this week just because it dropped off. And I'm hoping maybe if it gets a lot of award recognition, we can pick it back up for maybe one or two shows a day.
Yeah, that'd be great. I would watch it again, honestly. I thought I might never. When we left the theater, I told Hannah, I was like, it was really good. I don't know if I'll watch it again because it's uncomfortable in some places.
I want to see it in IMAX.
Yeah, I kind of do too.
I want to see if that really translates to the large screen format the way they think it does.
Being enveloped in that, and I just think it would nearly drive you mad in all the best ways possible.
Right.
It is.
Aaron Taylor Johnson redeeming himself after Craven.
Are you kidding? Craven was the redemption. No, I love Nosferatu. I really did. I just had more fun with Wolves and Heretic. But
your number one was Wolves?
No, actually. So Wolves was my number 3. Number 2 was Heretic.
Okay.
My number 1 surprised me. It's not on your list at all. Alien Romulus.
I liked it, but not enough to really put it as the best of the year.
So I don't think it's the best of the year, but it was my favorite.
Okay.
And the reason why is just I love sci-fi. Mm-hmm. I loved the feeling of watching that movie, and that quote has stuck with me from Fede Alvarez, who said that he wanted to recreate the feeling of watching those originals for the first time. And for me, it struck the nail right on the head. And I know that there are a lot of people online who are like, "Oh, it's just retreading," blah, blah, blah. But it's beautiful cinematography. It looks freaking incredible. It has,
and there's going to be another one.
The fun, I'm so excited for that. The fun 0G sequence, really, had me going, how do you get out of this? And so I loved that about it. And I just think that I think it was the one that I had the most fun with, and have continually gone back and looked up more behind the scenes stuff because it as a filmmaker. As a filmmaker, it has kind of revitalized some of my interest in, go back to basics on lighting and go back to, structure and study scripts again. And there was something about it that just really made me go, I want to be able to perform that stunt.
It's funny that you mentioned all this because it's not anything new that he's done. He did this with the Evil Dead remake that he did in Don't Breathe.
Yeah.
But you haven't seen those, so it's interesting that this is your introduction to that. Mm-hmm. And think that all this is pretty much new, but it's not. And I'm not criticizing you for this at all.
I don't feel criticized.
But I find it interesting that maybe you'll go back and watch these other films.
I definitely will with Don't Breathe. I probably will with The Evil Dead. I don't know. Like Evil Dead.
Don't Breathe 2, don't bother with. But
that's what
at least the first one. First one's, it's a cool movie.
Yeah. I just think that there was this, I don't know, there was just this switch that flipped in my brain while watching that made me go, oh yeah, I freaking love movies. And like that's the whole reason we're doing this podcast, because we both love movies. But that sometimes you just have an experience in a theater that makes you go, I want to do this. And I want to go do it. I
really just think the reason the film did not do well was because the Alien series just has so many bad films in it now.
Yeah.
That people just saw another one and was like, no, I just don't want to bother with it. And everybody that came into the theater, well, what's the best movie you have playing right now? When we had that, I was like, Alien Romulus, it's definitely the best movie.
Yeah, for sure.
But there were other things I liked more than that that I had on my list. But I really should have it as an honorable mention because I really did like it.
It's fun, and I'm glad the studio believes in it, even if the numbers weren't big. Because I want to see, now that I feel like the director has a chance now to say, like, I recreated that feeling and now I can take these characters and go to a different place with it and do new stuff.
So, I'm curious what the next one's going to look like.
And I think also some of the stuff was still new to me because I haven't seen all of the Alien movies. I've seen the first two, and then I've seen this one. So.
Honestly,
Alien versus Predator.
Honestly, that's all you need to see.
Yeah.
3 and 4... No,
those little the face huggers wiggling through the water.
And even though 3 is a David Fincher film, and I like him as a director, it's a crap movie. It really is. And 4 is just an unbelievable train wreck.
Yeah.
That's the reason why people didn't come and see this.
Yeah.
And I kept telling everybody, well, it takes place between 1 and 2, and it looks so much like the first one did.
It really does.
And like the first one's a classic.
That shot of the ship once the facehugger jumps out, or the chestburster jumps out of the pilot, and it starts like moving down the ship, and there's that shot down the hall, and the lights are coming in, and you just see Hope running away from them. It's like, oh goodness, movies are cool.
And it was definitely, it's going to lose something when we watch it on TV.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm glad I saw it in theaters.
Yeah.
All right. Do you want to do your dishonorable mentions? Save your most like terrible one for last. But what are the other ones you got?
All 3 of these are just bad. Argyle was the first one I wrote down.
Okay.
Because I liked it the first time I saw it, but the more I thought about it, I just didn't like it.
Yeah, I think I haven't thought about it much since we saw it, so it still has a part where I'm just like, yeah, there was dumb fun. Okay.
Lisa Frankenstein.
Didn't see it.
Just garbage. It tried to be like this teeny bopper, edgy goth film, and it failed.
That's Margaret Qualley, right? That's what you were talking about, like that.
No,
it's not.
No, it's not.
Oh,
the girl that was in Abigail was the one that was in Lisa Frankenstein.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then the other one for dishonorable mention that I saw that you didn't, and there's no way you would have sat through it, is In a Violent Nature.
Yeah,
because there was no story to it. It was just shock and gore for no reason at all. And I was just like, everybody was like, well, it's resurrecting the slasher genre. No, it's not.
Yeah.
Because even in like Halloween and Friday the 13th, it's like chopping up stupid teenagers, but at least they have stories.
Right, yeah.
And Halloween, I think, has like the longest running successful story in my book. And I really like even like Hellraiser, which they're bringing back to theaters, the original one in a 4K remaster.
Oh, are they really?
I'm excited for. Yeah. That's a dark film. I don't know if that's for you, Garrett.
May not be for me, no.
But it just, no story at all. Yeah. And just like these horrible death scenes that were just, I had to turn away like a couple of times.
Shocking.
Yeah.
Ugh. And that's why the most hated movie of the year for me is Terrifier 3. Because I didn't even see it, but I hate it. I hate it so much. I hate knowing some of the stuff that's in it. And the fact that people flock to it like crazy. Y'all need Jesus. Y'all need Jesus.
And then there's
going
to be a fourth one.
Y'all need Jesus so bad. Like, please don't do that.
And it's even more sad that was probably the most profitable film of the year.
That's insane.
In the way that how much money they spent on that and how much money they got in return, it was the most profitable.
Percentage-wise, it absolutely just blew
which is
past every
And
barrier.
I had to explain it to the owners here why I didn't want to play it, and it didn't take much explaining. They just asked, well, why? Because they saw what the numbers it did opening weekend, and I'm like, why didn't we play this? And I'm like, I have a problem with the teaser trailer with a murderous clown dressed up as Santa chopping up a 7-year-old child.
Yeah.
I cannot go along with that.
Yep. And the first two are not any better. Like they have no story. It's just this clown terrifying people.
Right.
That's all
And
it
there's really no even story as to why he appears, and then at the end he just disappears.
Yeah.
Which is who wrote this? Like Drew?
We love you, Drew. Thanks for listening.
But
oh my goodness.
It really required no thought.
Yeah. It's
other than, how ways do we kill teenagers?
right. Yeah. And like I've met teenagers. I understand the desire to write about them dying, but
they all work here.
we love you guys too. Please, these
Yes.
are jokes. These are just jokes. But yeah, I don't know. But worst movie of the year. What did you have?
Like the top, number one?
Yeah, number one worst movie.
The Crow.
Me too. Oh my gosh. I couldn't Borderlands 3 is bad and it gets a dishonorable mention, but The Crow is just, what were you doing?
Yeah.
It's not even, I have no connection to the original. I've not seen it. And I still was offended by this one. Not because it was a disgrace to the original, but because I had to sit through the whole thing.
And we paid for it.
It was devastating
Because
to know that money
wouldn't
left
play
our
here at
bank
Grand
account.
Avenue.
Right. Because you respect your movie going public. But yeah, no, just awful, awful stuff. And the stuff that was cool about it was not enough to I liked the look of the effects of him regenerating, but good grief, it wasn't worth sitting through for that.
See, and then once again, Bill Skarsgård finally did a movie that I liked.
Yeah, Nosferatu.
To
see him I completely forgot it was Bill Skarsgård the entirety of Nosferatu, and then watching The Crow, I'm just like, it's amazing this guy got hired before this came out for Nosferatu. That's the only explanation.
It was so funny that The Crow was supposed to come out 2025.
Yeah.
And Ballerina was the one that was supposed to come out last summer, they switched places because they're doing reshoots and everything on Ballerina, which I'm really excited for.
I am too. Yeah. I just God, The Crow.
But then the other ones I have on my worst list, and I'll just run through this real quick. Number 2 was The First Omen that I hated.
Oh yeah.
So this is the other Megan quality film, Drive Away Dolls, directed by Ethan Coen. And normally I like the Coen brothers. This thing was a mess.
I remember you mentioning this.
And I hated it. And lesbian sex scenes, and not that that's the reason I didn't like it, it didn't fit at all into the context of the film. And it just, the story wasn't good. And it has Pedro Pascal and Matt Damon in this thing, and it's awful.
Man.
And it's only an hour and 25 minutes.
Nosferatu is probably the first movie where anything resembling a sex scene actually made sense to go on as long as it did.
Yeah.
Everything else, I'm just like, all right, you guys are just doing this because sex sells. That's gross.
Yeah.
You're basically pornographers at this point.
Number 4, If.
Oh yeah, If's definitely bad.
Number 5, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
Missed it.
Just didn't like it. 6, Garfield movie.
I missed that too.
You're welcome, Drew. Drew fights me on this every time I see him. He's like, Dad, why didn't you like that film? Because it sucked. That's why I didn't like it. And I had high hopes for that too.
Yeah, I wanted to like it.
Because it can't be any worse than the Bill Murray ones. But I'm like, no, I was wrong. It's worse.
Definitely worse.
7 was Mufasa. 8 was Trap. 9 was Borderlands. And then 10 was the horror film that came out this time last year, Night Swim.
Oh gosh, Night Swim was terrible.
Yeah, nobody went and saw that.
Oh, it was so bad. Nothing happens.
I think more people came last night for Den of Thieves than Night Swim the entire time that we ran it.
That's not surprising. It's a haunted pool. It's not that interesting.
And then we couldn't get out of it.
Oh, right,
Universal was determined
to do the 2 weeks.
Yeah, and they were like, "Nope, you are not getting out of playing." I was like, "Why?"
Oh goodness. Oh well.
Yeah. So that's. Yeah, The Crow was my most hated film of last year.
Absolutely terrible. Oh my goodness. All right. Well, that's our top 10 and the bottom 10 for the year. And now we can move on into news. There's some news this week. We're gonna have to go fast though. Okay, let's get into the news. We have quite a few things. Just real quick, I just want to say that my heart and my prayers are with the people in California.
Yes.
Lots of people are losing their homes, their businesses, and God knows what else.
Yeah, our film buyer had to evacuate real fast.
So, Rob, we hope you're doing okay.
Yep.
Yeah, it's crazy. There's like 4 major fires now, and lots of smaller ones burning. So just please pray for the people out there because.
I've seen John Goodman lost his home, Anthony Hopkins, Paris Hilton, which that I could care less to be honest, but Ben Affleck.
I thought she lives in hotels.
Ben Affleck was the last one that I read that he lost everything.
I know that Adrian Brody lost his, who was in, was it Mr. and Mrs. Smith he was in? Yeah, he was in Mr. and Mrs. Smith. He's been in a bunch of other stuff, but that's the one
Adrian Brody?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Or wait, I'm saying the wrong name.
Yeah, you are.
Not Adrian Brody. It's
Adrian Brody is the guy that's in The Brutalist and The Pianist.
It's something, Brody.
You had me say that a couple of times last night. Child.
I can't believe you fell for it.
I can't either. I think I did on purpose.
He got Andy to say, he mentioned the movie The Pianist, and I was like, what was the name of that movie again? He goes, The Pianist? And I started giggling. And both of our wives thought it was funny, but you did not.
Yeah, my exact words were grow up.
That's fair. Who is this character? He was.
Was he in Thank You for Smoking?
I don't know. I never saw that.
Jason
Adam
Reitman
Brody. Adam Brody.
He was in Thank You for Smoking.
Okay,
yeah, that's a Jason Reitman film you need to see.
I do. I just. Yeah, it sucks that everyone's.
Yeah.
You know, like I have my problems with California's state tax and lots of other things that they do out there, but you know, there are people who are really, really suffering out there. And as much as it would be very much like me to come on and make some jokes about this. This is a terrible tragedy, and I you know, I'm like,
it's through no fault of their own or anything either.
It's just California has the conditions that lead to wildfires, and when you're that densely packed, a lot of people are in the path of destruction. So,
but I saw. There was an art. I don't remember where I saw the article, but somebody was doing a fundraiser by showing Volcano, and I was like, "That's in bad taste.
That's not right."
I was like, "That's I for just the simple reason. Number one, Volcano is a bad movie.
Yes.
Number two, you use that as a fun. I'm like, you're an idiot.
Yeah, you should. You know,
that's just not right
because it's not entertaining. Like this is really, really bad. Anyway. Apparently, moving on from that, like hearts and prayers, not going to, you know,
yes, absolutely,
crack jokes about it. Alec Baldwin is apparently been deemed a scapegoat, and he's launching his own lawsuit against prosecutors. And
are we going back to this whole Rust thing?
Yes. So, so basically, what happened? Alec Baldwin filed a civil rights violation lawsuit against prosecutors. All of our news is from JoeBlow.com, by the way. Just credit to them. But it reads in part via Deadline: defendants sought at every turn to scapegoat Baldwin for the acts and omissions of others, regardless of the evidence or the law. Although no verdict in this case can undo the trauma the state's threat of convictions and incarcerations inflicted, Alec Baldwin has filed this action to hold defendants responsible for their appalling violations of the laws that govern their work. Because the defendants' actions were motivated by evil motive or intent involved a reckless or callous indifference to Baldwin's federally protected rights, an award of punitive damages is appropriate to the fullest extent permitted by law. Okay, so basically, I am of two minds on this. So one, he has the right to go after them for damages done to his public persona and image. You know, like that is technically correct. However, I don't think it's the right move for him, because here's the thing: there's weapon handlers on set, they're supposed to be the ones who make sure that guns are loaded with blanks, and you know, someone should have maybe said like, hey, if we have a camera operator there in front of them, maybe we should just add that in post. Like, you can do it and it looks fine, and you know, if you're doing it for one shot, you have the time to do that, and so that it looks really good. So you know, there were several failures along the line, but it's not the actor's job to check the gun.
Right. His job is to show up and act.
His job is to show up, be handed a gun by someone who is in charge of handling all of that and making sure that there's not a real bullet loaded into the dang thing. And because that's what happened, right? It was an actual round.
Well, and that's what happened to Brandon Lee on the original Crow movie.
But
too.
Brandon Lee died with a blank. because a blank still fire. There's a bit of wadding at the end of the cartridge.
I thought the crow when there was a live load in that.
It was from what I understand, it was still a blank, but it was fired directly at him, and that wad is made of cotton and stuff.
Yeah,
but it's still propelled at such a high velocity that at a point blank distance it can kill you.
Yeah.
But in the Alec Baldwin case, I believe it was a live round with an actual metal bullet, and when that even at a distance that'll kill you.
Right. When the weapons handler handles that, you're assuming that all the safeguards were done and everything was, the I's were dotted and the T's were crossed and everything's cool to go.
Why that gun was ever loaded with real ammunition is beyond me. There was no reason to do that as far as I can tell. So then again, didn't see all the evidence and stuff, but yes, Alec Baldwin pulled the trigger. But the thing is, he was handed a gun by someone who's in charge of managing all of those things. And most actors, unless they've been really properly trained, I wouldn't trust them to check the dang gun anyway, because you know what they're going to do? They're going to look down the barrel and go, I don't see any metal down there. Like, they're freaking idiots. So I don't know. Like, I think he was used as a scapegoat, and the responsibility does lie with the weapons handlers.
Yeah.
Obviously, he was acquitted for it. Now he's going for punitive damages, which essentially means, hey, you made me lose a bunch of work. You have to pay me for that. Which is, like I said,
but
technically correct, but you shouldn't do it.
The question is, did he really lose a lot of work?
Oh yeah,
because
absolutely.
of that.
Oh, for sure. Like he's consistently doing stuff up until this happened. Not all of them are like super high profile, like 30 Rock or what have you. But he has not done a bunch of work, not in the least because he's been tied up in legal battles, and there's no time to go do that work. Whether or not people were even willing to hire him, it might even be a moot point. But
nobody's really sought him out for quite a while though either.
Not in the same way that you'd look for Glenn Powell or whatever. But I do think he was consistently doing smaller roles and stuff and continuing to work. And if this interrupted it because it was 2018 that this happened.
Yeah, I think so. Because has that film ever come out?
No, not yet. But I think they still are planning to release it. At some point. I think they went back and finished filming.
If I have they really should distance themselves from this as humanly possible.
I know, but then
just
at the same time, if the
cinematographer...
Yeah, okay, I see what you mean. Like, there's a part of me that's like, someone died on this movie, releasing it is kind of a tough thing, but then at the same time, it's like, if she believed in the movie, the cinematographer, like, I'm sure she was proud of her work, and her work should be seen.
Right.
And so I don't know.
It's almost it almost kind of reminds me of like the movie from the Twilight Zone movie where Vic Morrow died. Mm-hmm. And it was an unfortunate accident, and John Landis got a lot of backlash from that at the time, and he went to trial twice, I think, over that film. And then when it finally came out, it didn't do that well.
Yeah.
But
I think it's going to be tainted by this. People won't be able to turn their brains off and enjoy it because they'll be like, oh yeah, this is the one that's just
that's where when Twilight Zone the movie came out, there was no evolution into home viewing and everything that there is now.
Right.
So that's where honestly I think they should just push it to a streaming platform and let it go.
Sad to say, but then at the same time, as a filmmaker, I would want my stuff to go into the theater. Even if I
get that. I do understand that. I do. But at this point, I think it's a lost cause.
I think so too. Yeah, financially for sure.
Right.
But I guess I'm just thinking, like, out of respect for her, do you do at least a limited release? To show her work in a theater, which is what she would have wanted probably. And, I don't know. But yeah, they're never making their money back on rights.
Well, I say, out of respect to Clint Eastwood, juror number 2 should have gotten the larger release.
Yeah, well, the world's not fair, Andy.
Nope,
which is why Christmas action films Red One and Carry On were the top of the streaming charts in December.
Which Red One and Carry On?
Red One and Carry On. Those were the two biggest movies on streaming. So
people are stupid.
And Red One beat Carry On. That saddens me so deeply.
Okay, but the question is...
Oh my God, I forgot to put that on my worst of the year list. It pissed me off.
There's two films that didn't come up on our worst list that I just think we've roasted them publicly enough that they weren't even worth putting on the list. Was Joker Fully Ado
Yeah.
and Red One. Because we have talked about how horrible those films are. And Joker's not a horrible film. It's just a horrible idea that went out of control.
It's well done with what it's trying to do.
Right.
The problem is what it's trying to do is asinine
that
and
nobody
stupid.
wants to see.
Right,
Or nobody
yeah.
and that was obvious from the box office grosses on that.
Absolutely.
And it's already on Max.
So funny. the situation, not the movie. Although I do love the Foghorn Leghorn voice. It went on for too long, but it is funny that he even did that in the movie.
Yeah, but
Do you believe us to believe... You think we should believe that your real name is Butters? It's just like, what are you doing? Oh, anyway. But
that's where I just kind of cock my head at that film too and go, what?
Yeah, I don't... But he's crazy. And like, I have a neighbor right now who's harassing us by stealing our recycling cans and shoving it full of her own garbage. And then like, I have to call the cops on her because I have to not engage with her directly. And the cops told me to call them when she does something weird.
So if you go out this one time and you see a clown face, run.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Good Lord.
You can take sanctuary at my house, please.
I will come over and we'll just start knocking stuff out of the list.
We'll never come out of the house.
Oh, my goodness. And we'll be happy.
Yeah.
But yeah, Red One, a tragedy of a movie that is... they'll make another one.
On streaming, then, has it made back the $250 million budget that it had?
I don't know
That's
if
what
it
I'm curious.
has, but I do know that it has 2.1 billion minutes viewed. In comparison, Carry On went crazy and has 1.69 billion.
Yeah, but they didn't invest $250 million in Carry On.
Right, yeah. But the thing is, I think if it continues to be like
it's going to be a sequel.
Yeah, it's going to be a sequel, or at the very least, it'll be something they push every year as a Christmas movie to get like that return watch revenue kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I
Red
don't-
One, definitely.
Yeah, gosh.
But
what a-
Red One is just such a joke.
it's not Christmas.
No.
It's Christmas for cynical people.
And I think the biggest problem with that film, too, is it couldn't figure out if it wanted to be a family film or an action film.
Yeah. You can be a family action film if you curse
can.
less and say Merry Christmas.
Good.
You jerks.
Jingle All the Way did it.
But yeah, exactly. Yeah, literally.
And not a great Christmas movie by any means,
No.
or not a great movie at all.
Fine, but it still comes up every year for people.
Yes.
And this one, I don't like. If this comes up for you every year, may God have mercy on your soul.
So what does that say about me that every year I bring up Krampus?
I love Krampus. We watched it again this year. So yeah, that's
I
different.
introduced my family to that for the first time.
But that one wasn't trying to be a family movie. It's trying to be a Christmas horror film for people who are like, that's dumb. I love it.
yeah,
you
that's
know?
why I went and saw it. And I think it's great.
I just freaking love when that angel wakes up and it looks like that lady at the end of the first Spy Kids who got half her hair burnt off. And then it goes, ah! It's great.
No, I still the best line is I just got my butt kicked by a Christmas cookie.
The best actor for that role too, perfectly
Yeah.
cast. Wicked is finally out of theaters here at least, but it is continuing its success. Its premium video on demand sales in its first week is a record-setting $70 million in its first week.
Yeah, because there were people that came up here that had bought tickets to see it here that refunded them. Luckily, they went and saw something else here, but they were like, well, we bought it online, so we really don't want to see it in the theater. And I get that, but I'm like, you're going to miss something by not seeing it in the theater.
Yeah.
If anything, for the sound and how the picture looks and everything. But I understand
it's
that from a
spectacle.
consumer standpoint. Sure. I just paid $20 to see it. Why am I paying another one to watch it in your theater?
Right.
But luckily, the people that did that when they came in here, they went and saw something else that we still had.
Great.
So,
yeah.
We didn't lose business.
Right.
But that was, and I told our film buyer that when Universal pushed it for us to play it another week.
Uh-huh.
And
like maybe don't release it in other places where people can get it for cheaper and take up our screens with things that people have already seen at home, you big idiots.
And I told him that story, and he went back to the studio with that, and their attitude was, we don't care.
Yeah, we know, jerks. We know.
So Rob, he had the final laugh because the whole thing initially, I think, was to double up Nosferatu and Wicked.
Uh-huh.
And Focus said no. They still wanted it to run clean. And then we had been running Wicked since the 21st of November. Yep. So our film buyer was like, both of them are gone.
Yep. For anyone who's not aware, running clean means that there's a
runs
screen
all day.
dedicated. It runs all day.
Sorry.
Rather than doubling up. No, I just figure people haven't listened to every episode, so sometimes I like to just throw out.
Yeah,
the
it cannot. It means that it can't be doubled up with another title. It has to run all day on have a full film schedule.
Yeah. Mel Gibson.
They're going to shoot you down.
They shoot you down. So he's got Flight Risk coming out, which we're both very excited for. But he's
I'm
also
going to laugh my butt off when that line comes.
Oh, absolutely. It's hilarious. He's also hoping to start shooting Passion of the Christ 2 Electric Boogaloo this year. Next year, actually, 2026.
Yeah, because initially that was on the slate for release this year.
Yeah.
And it's now off. I know that for sure. And I just read the same thing that you did, that he's hoping to start shooting it next year.
Yeah.
So which means it won't be out until 2027.
At the earliest, yeah.
Right.
Because sometimes post-production can, kind of linger. But yeah, he said he talked about the script he co-wrote with his brother and Braveheart scribe, Randall Wallace, that it took 7 years to write. He explained, "I'm hoping next year sometime. There's a lot required because it's an acid trip. I've never read anything like it." And I have to, as a person who has read the Bible, wonder, where did you get that from?
Yeah.
What is this? Like the first one, took some liberties, but was pretty faithful to the story of Jesus. But this one, there's very few things I've read in the Bible where I'm like, that's an acid trip, except for that one angel who's just like all eyeballs. That's pretty weird.
Oh, I thought you were going to say about Noah.
Oh, no, Noah's not like an acid trip to me, but the
Kind of is.
I mean, the whole planet got flooded, so that's pretty crazy.
No, I'm talking the movie.
Oh, the Darren Aronofsky one? Oh, yeah, no, I'm sorry. I was talking about the Bible.
Oh, okay.
Which
Sorry.
decidedly, in some places, more crazy than what Darren Aronofsky did, and in some places, a heck of a lot less. That guy sucks. Anyway, I just wanted to point out that was happening because I wanted to say Jesus Christ to Electric Boogaloo. So
I'm gonna get a Buddy Christ for you. From Dogma, which that's some news. Kevin Smith finally got the rights for that.
Yeah, I think we talked about that last week.
He's going to be releasing that.
Yeah. Peter Jackson said that The Two Towers is currently his favorite of the Lord of the Rings movies he made. I think
I would agree with that.
I think it has a lot of good stuff, but I still have a soft spot for Return of the King.
I like the Return, but it's almost kind of like an Empire.
Sure.
Thing with me, like they're both kind of middle depressing films that I really like.
Yeah.
I mean, Empire is like a great depressing middle movie.
Oh, absolutely. They do not win at all. Yeah.
And Two Towers is kind of the same way.
28 years later is coming.
Yeah.
And apparently Cillian Murphy won't appear in the film, says the producer.
So they say. I think this is to throw people off.
I believe this is a conspiracy because that zombie in the trailer looks a lot like Cillian Murphy.
Well, they've already said that that's not him.
Yeah, but that, to be
and
fair,
even
Cillian Murphy
says that's not him.
Yeah, but they've lied to us before. I mean, remember when Andrew Garfield kept saying, "I'm definitely not in the next Spider-Man movie," and then he was all up in that shizness. He was all
I forgot
up in that.
But that's Spider-Man.
Yeah. Apparently, you'll be excited about this. If you want to actually read the official Nosferatu script, it's been released online.
Yeah,
and
I saw that.
I'm interested to go and actually read this and see what the differences are. I love reading the actual scripts because you can kind of see like how they structure it and stuff.
Yeah,
and I've written several.
And it's all like camera
myself.
direction and all that stuff too. That I like
does it
reading
have
that.
camera direction in it?
Sometimes,
because generally, so there's shooting scripts will have some of that in it, but generally the first. The draft of the script that actually gets sent around has no camera direction because unless you are writing it for yourself, and the reason why is that if you're writing spec scripts, it could go to any director. You have no idea, so it's not your job as the writer to direct their vision for it as a director with camera direction and stuff, unless it's very, very specific. But if you're writing spec scripts, you don't have the leeway to do that, and that's how I've always written mine.
Oh, okay.
And I think I want to read this, and see if it's got the camera direction and stuff, because then I'm writing for myself most of the time. Why am I sticking to the rules that aren't for me? What's that about? Why am I guess it's just because I'm trying to practice this specific thing so that I can send scripts off that maybe will get made by someone else. But
because I've read the original scripts for the original Halloween 1 and 2.
I have downloaded on my laptop right now the script that was for Indiana Jones 4 before it was changed into Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. And I want to go back and read that. I've had it downloaded for months. I just haven't had time.
There's the original script too for Heirs of the Lost Ark had a train sequence that was
ended up later on. I think it was in was that the one that ended up in the Last Crusade?
No.
Oh no, it didn't. Oh, okay.
No.
I'm thinking of a different thing then.
Yep.
No. Whatever. Jason Statham is coming with a new movie from David Ayer. It's called A Working Man, and he swings a sledgehammer. And the reason I wanted to bring this up is because his boss's daughter, who is like family to him, this is according to the synopsis of the movie, is taken by human traffickers. His search to bring her home uncovers a world of corruption far greater than he ever could have imagined. And here's why. This is probably going to be a dumb action movie with Jason Statham and a sledgehammer, which
but I want to see
great
it
on its own. Yeah.
I put the trailer on Den of Thieves 2 today after watching it this morning.
Great.
Yeah. So we didn't see that. Well, we didn't see it last night because you were late.
I was 2 minutes late, and then I had to get food.
But David Ayer and him did The Beekeeper, and that was actually pretty good.
That's on my list.
It's a dumb action film, but it's good.
Yeah.
So this looks the same way. Both films are written by Sylvester Stallone.
Really?
Right. And it's funny that I watch Working Men for as much as I want to see it, because I like Jason Statham.
Yeah.
It's the exact same story as the last Rambo film.
Yes, yeah. I just anything that is bringing attention to human trafficking, I immediately am on board with, because if you don't know how bad it is out there, Houston,
What Sound of Freedom?
Houston, Texas is like the human trafficking capital of the world, not the states,
not just
the
Texas.
world.
Wow.
It is one of them. And the Super Bowl every year, do you know why all the hotels are booked out every year for the Super Bowl? It's not because of people watching the game. It's because people watching the game want to hire people who have been trafficked for you know what. Yeah. It is devastating, tragic, and if you don't know about human trafficking, like you don't really understand how bad it is, you need to be going and finding this out. I have been involved in lots of different things since I was 16. Not with human trafficking, but against human trafficking. What
are you trying to say there, Garrett?
When I first started my production company, we did a bunch of short films and premiered them and raised money for a charity that worked with people who were victims of human trafficking.
Okay.
I was 18 at the time. We only raised about $3,000, but it was like, just do something. Do something about it. If you know the signs, know how to recognize when someone is in a position like that, because at the very least they're in an abusive relationship, and at the worst they're being trafficked and their bodies being sold against their will while they're handlers, they're pimps, whatever you want to call them. They're kidnappers, get them addicted to drugs, and it's awful. It's awful stuff. And I just wanted to bring this up because I was like, yeah, let's keep talking about that. Let's keep talking about it. Like I'm not an activist on a lot of things, but this, frick, man. I will buy an AR and go hunt these guys down myself if I have to. Like it's so awful. And it's not, we're not just talking about adults. We're not just talking about teenagers. We're talking about 3 months old.
Yeah. That's like
a handshaking now because
Sound of Freedom really brought that to the forefront.
It's terrifying.
And it's kind of melodramatic as that film is. There is a good point and story to it.
Well, I actually met the guy who it's based on.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He does something. It's called the Deliver Fund, and they really do go out and like the Den of Thieves style break into places and take down these people. It's cool. Incredible stuff. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, I did put the trailer on Den of Thieves. We probably are going to get it because it comes out in March.
Yeah.
That'll be a podcast because I want Jason Statham beating up people. Yeah, I'm on board.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially if it's human traffickers. Yeah.
Get them.
But it's the exact same story as the last Rambo film. It really is.
Yeah.
With some things changed here, but yeah, Stallone wrote both of those. and he wrote The Beekeeper.
He wrote it once, and then they did it twice. Yeah. I keep forgetting how prolific a writer Sylvester Stallone is.
Yeah, but David Ayer did one of your favorite films too, Suicide Squad.
I don't think it's his fault. I think it's the studio's fault because they got the trailer company who the David Ayer had a cut of it, and then they did the trailer cut, and the studio said that's more flashy and interesting. Do that. And they came in and recut the film, and I think ruined it.
And then there's a Schwarzenegger film that he did too called Sabotage that's pretty good.
Oh yeah, I've heard good things
and
about
that was
Sabotage.
low keyed. Didn't do that well, but it actually is a pretty decent film.
I'm glad he's still getting to work though.
Yeah,
So.
me too.
This one I'm actually really interested in. This Andy Muschietti, who did it, but
Yes.
he is still looking to make a Shadow of the Colossus adaptation. If you don't know what Shadow of the Colossus is, it's one of the most brilliantly beautiful PlayStation 2 games ever made.
I've actually heard of it.
Oh, dude.
I don't play game. I'm not into that world, but I've heard of that game.
Yeah, so you don't have to play it. I will see if I can find a video to send to you just to show it's a tragic game with a story that's so interesting, and it's connected to the games that Team Ico made before and after it, and it's such a like, it doesn't explain everything to you, but you feel it, and it's very good. So I want to see this happen because I love this game. I've played through it. Yes.
Okay, good.
Sorry, it was really intense, but yes. But yeah, Shadow of the Colossus is so good, and I would love to see a movie that captures that same thing. It's incredible.
Cool.
But and Andy Muschietti has proven himself as a director. He knows how to make movies.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure he did the Salem's Lot remake that finally got on the Max.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, which actually I'm one of the few people that liked it. I thought it was cool.
Hey, people have different tastes. Lots of people didn't like Den of Thieves too, and I did. So
thank you.
So Wicked has a part 2 coming out. Let's loop back around to them.
Yes, For the Good.
It's called For Good. Yeah. And people are apparently up in arms about this. I do wonder why they called the first one Wicked Part 1 and then would do Wicked For Good. Why not just call it Wicked and then
Part
Wicked
2.
For Good? Because he said that on the script they've always called it not part 2 but For Good.
Okay.
And so John M. Chu is basically he said on the script it always said For Good, and so it's just a point of like, do you really want to call this part 2? And nobody wants that. But then why'd you call the first one part 1?
Yeah.
With Mission Impossible, it makes sense because it was going to be Dead Reckoning Part 1, Dead Reckoning Part 2, and then they changed their mind after. And I remember when we saw the trailer for this a couple weeks ago, I looked over to you. How embarrassed do you think they are with all that merch they pushed that said Part 1? But yeah, he said, I mean, that's the destination For Good. We know is like, where are we going with this? This movie. Let's finish this thing. But yeah, why call the first one Part 1 then? That's so weird.
So is this supposed to be the last Mission Impossible then that comes out in May?
It's called The Final Reckoning, and I think it's probably going to be left somewhat open-ended in case Tom Cruise says, hey, I'd like to buy another Harrier jet. But
I would just hope they would leave it open for somebody else to take that role.
Yeah. Maybe Jeremy Renner. He didn't work with Jason Bourne, but maybe it can work with.
I say bring Henry Cavill back that was in Fallout.
Well, he's dead though. He's got to be dead. There's no way. But I'd watch Henry Cavill in almost anything.
Yeah.
He's so darn charming.
Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare.
Still need to go back and watch that.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Oh, goodness. Okay, The Brave and the Bold director confirms that Robert Pattinson won't be the DC Universe's Batman. He's being kept separate from the Superman DCU universe that's being built out. And on one hand, yeah. Okay. So The Brave and the Bold is basically going to be this Batman kind of centric movie that's being made in the DCU, but it's not Matt Reeves, and I think that's good. I actually I can deal with 2 Batman simultaneously.
I'm kind of torn on that, to be honest.
Well, I don't think that what they're doing with Superman fits with the tone of Batman, the one that we got recently, the Batman, and I don't want them to have to tone that back in order to make it fit with Superman, or make Superman darker in order to make it fit with that Batman.
Okay, okay, I see where you're going with this now. Yeah, that's a good point.
So I can see a slightly more, not lighthearted, but not as grungy Batman. Like the visual styles don't mesh. How do you there's got to be some consistency, which Marvel does, almost to a fault.
Yeah. But I can't wait for the Superman film coming out in July.
Oh, I'm so excited for that. Yeah, that music in the trailer just gets my heart up in a tizzy every time.
It's the electric guitar version of the original music from the Alexander Solkhan one in the 70s.
So good.
Which is really...
It's such good music.
Yeah.
Oh, man. They don't make music like that, I tell you what. They don't make it like that no more.
No.
But yeah, Muschietti said releasing 2 Batman films simultaneously would be counterproductive. What DC is doing is creating a strategy to ensure these 2 films don't conflict with one another. Regarding my involvement of the project, there are good intentions for now. They want to do the movie with me, and I want to do it as well. I'm eager to work on the film. We are working on the story and the tone. So,
well, because the Matt Reeves one is more the detective comic style and
Yes.
the dark and grungier, and it seems to be keep having problems that they keep pushing it back.
It was all script stuff. I think we talked about this last week.
Yeah.
It's all because they're kind of talking. Stop playing footsie with me.
Sorry.
I wasn't going to bring it up, and then you looked under the table. I'm like, what do you think it is?
Well, I didn't mean to step on your foot. So
No,
I'm
it's
sorry.
okay. Please step on me as much as you need to. No, Andy, I didn't mean it. But yeah, it's interesting to me that they're still willing to kind of separate those things out. But I think that there will be a younger audience that's more geared towards the Superman and the Brave and the Bold Batman and all that stuff. And for the adults who are fans of the character, we still get the Batman series.
I think Superman this summer. I don't know how much on the mark I'm going to be about this. I have a feeling this is going to be bigger than Deadpool Wolverine was last summer.
Really? Because that was $1 billion, wasn't it?
Right. Well, because this is going to be PG or PG-13.
Sure.
There's more of a family base for this.
Yes.
And Superman is more of a wholesome kind of character.
Yeah.
And everybody.
And there's a dog.
Right. Well, that's for me.
Yeah. He's a cute pup.
Although
he's not real like the one in Deadpool, but he's cute.
Everybody keeps saying that's all the criticisms I'm reading was like about Crypto, and I was like, why?
Yeah.
I guess it's just because of that animated League of Super Pets that came out that bombed.
Well, Crypto's, even when he was introduced in the comics, it was a bid to get more kids to buy comics. That's all it is.
Yeah, but James Gunn is going in the right direction with this and making it very family friendly.
Yeah, if he can make a starfish terrifying, I think he can make a dog work in a movie.
Yeah. So I seriously think that's going to be the movie to beat this summer.
I think you're on the money on that one.
Yeah.
But I also am not up to date on movies as much as you are. I don't know what else coming out around it, but
right now for July, there's not. I think everybody's kind of staying away from it because I don't think I'm the only one that has the same opinion of that it's going to be hard to beat.
Yeah. I'm super excited for it.
Yeah,
and
me too.
I'll pull up that version of that song and just listen to it in the car. I'm absolutely going to because it's so good. Oh, goodness. All right. Marvel. Let's switch over to the other side of the camp. Apparently, they are maybe looking to recast T'Challa. So Chadwick Boseman passed away, tragically. And,
right.
But
I guess they figure because of Wakanda Forever. For as good as it did, the backlash that it got too was just as big.
People did not like that movie, and I entirely forgot it came out. But yeah, they apparently Kevin Feige wasn't ready to cast T'Challa, before Civil War and all that stuff,
right?
Or not Civil War, sorry, Brave New World and all that. He said it just felt much too soon to recast. Stan Lee always said that Marvel represents the world outside your window, and we had talked about how, as extraordinary and fantastical as our characters and stories are, there's a relatable and human element to everything we do, which mostly I think rings true. The world is still processing the loss of Chad, and Ryan poured that into the story. So that was the idea behind Wakanda Forever. But the direct...
Chadwick Boseman was a really good actor.
Oh, he was so fantastic.
42. Gosh. And it didn't do that well financially, but Draft Day with him and Kevin Costner, great movie.
Yeah. Oh, goodness. I've seen a good portion of that, and all the stuff he does in that is so good.
Dennis Leary's really good in that, too.
I keep forgetting Dennis Leary is in it.
Yeah, he is.
But yeah, Jeff Snyder recently he's an industry insider. He was talking to the Direct, and he said that with Marvel reshuffling the deck in advance of Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars, and Robert Downey Jr. coming back not as Iron Man but as Doctor Doom, I'm told the door is firmly open for T'Challa to be recast via the multiverse. So, look, I think that's probably the only way they can do this. Look, Doctor Doom is going to be a multiverse villain. That's how they're getting him into this. So if the byproduct of that is they can get a new actor to play another version of T'Challa who's also good, I think that's maybe an okay way of using that.
Initially, I thought it would have been Michael P. Jordan, but the problem is he's in Black Panther as another character.
Yeah, but he could be T'Challa in a different world.
I guess.
I don't know.
If I was say for that character, that's really the first person that comes to my mind to be cast for it.
Yeah. Apparently, he said that he heard that another actor was actually offered the role this past fall, a couple months after Downey was revealed at Comic-Con, but they turned it down, not wanting to jeopardize their career momentum by stepping into Boseman's gigantic shoes, which may be too big to fill even for Hollywood's most talented black actors. So that's what Snyder said. It might be O'Shea Jackson. Maybe
he'd have to slim down a little bit because he's kind of chunky.
He's a beefy dude.
He is,
but he doesn't look like unfit. He just looks beefy.
No, but Ice Cube's a beefy kind of guy too. Yeah. So
one thing I was thinking while I was watching Den of Thieves, and this may not make sense to you, but all of the guys in there are just like stocky dudes.
Yeah, they are.
This is the cast you get for Gears of War. Because in that movie they are all the thickest meatheads you've ever seen. I'm like, this is who you get for that. These are stocky dudes.
Yeah, that crew, like the one that was saying, "Well, we're going to drop him down a hole tonight and see where he comes out." Like that guy makes me look small.
I know, dude. They are just like. You want to talk about barrel chest? These guys are cask makers. They're insane. Oh my goodness. But yeah, so it's. We'll see. But look, I hate the multiverse stuff, but we're going to get a little bit more of it at least to get Robert Downey Jr. back in. I don't want Black Panther as a character to go away because I really liked that. But yeah, that is a tough role to fill.
So, and then I got the information on Brave New World the other day.
Oh, yes.
So I don't know how much of this I can say.
Ooh.
So the runtime is approximately 120 minutes, which is 2 hours.
Yep.
Tickets will go on sale soon.
Okay.
So that's all I'm going to say.
All right. Keep an eye out for those tickets at GrandAvenueTheaters.com.
Yeah.
And go get your tickets. Get them recliner seats if you can, because boy, they are comfy.
Yeah.
But that being said, when we're in the smaller theaters that don't have the recliners yet, I'm still comfy in those too.
That's something that me and the owners are looking at is transforming all of the theaters to all recliners.
I love them recliners.
But we'll probably lose like 2 rows of seats in every theater.
Okay. Well, that's just more reason to go and buy your tickets right now at GrandAvenueTheaters.com. Apply directly where it hurts.
Because we got tickets up for sale for Wolfman next week that will be at the Thursday 7:10 screening.
Yeah, we'll be there. So come and sit by us. Say hello.
Flight Risk is up for sale.
Yes.
And Dog Man is
here to shoot you down.
I love that line.
You'll also love this. The Nice Guys is getting a new Ultra HD Blu-ray from Warner Brothers with a 4K remaster and stuff. Says
I like that movie.
I do too. Yeah, I'm probably going to pick that up. James Mangold is doing a Star Wars movie. Did you know about this? Did we talk about this?
Yeah, I think we did.
He said the Star Wars movie would be taking place 25,000 years before any known Star Wars movie takes place because he doesn't want it to be handcuffed by so much lore that it's almost immovable. So I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Give me that. That's fine.
And keep Kathleen Kennedy away from it.
Yeah, just lock her in a closet, let her out after you're done. Armie Hammer, we've talked about this Cannibal Man. He's taking the lead role in, get this, Uwe Boll's vigilante thriller called The Dark Knight. It's not Batman. It's a different Dark Knight. It's about a...
Who gave Uwe Boll money to make a movie?
I don't know, but I really want to see him fight his critics again. If you don't know that story, he basically he freaking challenged all the people who hated his movies, which are terrible. They're terrible.
And I think
films.
it was Postal was the last one that he had made that he really came out for that.
Yeah, I think it was. But he does House of the Dead and all these like video game adaptations that are terrible. And all the critics are lambasting him. He's like, "Come fight me! I fight you." I don't know what accent he has. It's German or whatever. But they actually showed up and he beat the crap out of them. Oh gosh, it would be an honor for him to come and I would take a knockout from him. Let's do it.
So if we don't get that here, we make a road trip to go see this.
Absolutely.
And then we tell Uwe, "Hey, Uwe, your movie sucks.
Fight me.
Get in the ring with both of us. We'll take you on."
Yeah, all right, 2 against 1. And it's like, all right, you're up against a guy who's never worked out a day in his life, and then Andy. So you've got weight on your side. I'm going down first hit. Absolutely.
I figured you're just gonna pick me up and throw me at him.
You know what? Now, yeah. According to Variety, though, The Dark Knight is based on an original script by Uwe Boll, with Hammer playing Sanders, who, quote, takes justice in his own hands as he sets out to hunt down criminals. While this crusade transforms him into a social media sensation. Oh, God, Uwe Boll's going to take on the social media. That's going to be awful. And a hero in the eyes of the public, the local police chief sees him as a menace to society and aims to take him down. That's Batman.
Yeah.
It's called The Dark Knight, too.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
So it's not that original.
All right. So that'll be really terrible. And just, I cannot wait.
We got it. That's a train wreck waiting to happen.
We've talked briefly before about doing like watching terrible movies and doing Mystery Science Theater 3000 style like commentary.
Yeah.
Uwe Boll's stuff is on the plate. Like, absolutely.
And we keep saying Popeye the Slayer Man, but we don't know when that's coming out now.
I found out about a new Popeye movie today called Popeye's Revenge. It's not the same movie. There are 2 movies being released this year that are horror adaptations of Popeye the Sailor Man. Oh, goodness.
I'm still waiting for the Bambi one.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
There is one, too.
Oh, my goodness.
And it just, I'm like, why? Okay, there's so much other stuff to be done in the horror genre alone. Why does this really have to take place?
Because look up this word, I'm not using it as a curse word. The bastardization of things that people loved as children is one of the hottest things you can do right now, because these people who grew up lost their innocence too young, and the world's getting worse. That's really all it is. I legitimately think that there are so many people who were subjected to things because of cable television in their younger years that really their mind has mixed in the wholesome with the awful that they watched, and it has done a terrible number on their sensibilities.
Well, I sat next to the producer of Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey at CinemaCon last year, and that was his like wallpaper on his phone was the one sheet, and this, he showed me the figures from like the Walmart sales from that thing, and I was like, wow. Gosh. Okay. I know one person here at the theater that buys into all that, and it's not me. Let's make that clear.
Yep.
Like, one of my managers he's all into that. He keeps like, why don't we bring back Blood and Honey as like a repertoire title? And I'm like, because it doesn't need to play here.
How about repertoire? Nah. That was terrible. I won't cut it though. But we do need to come to an end here. I do just last little thing here. There's my wife finally has actually seen the original Wallace and Gromit shorts.
Oh, cool.
We are working our way up to Vengeance Most Foul, which I have been so excited for.
Yeah,
and
I love those.
I think that might be something we talk about next week on the show.
Close Shave? You guys have seen Close Shave?
Close Shave. We saw the original one where they go to the moon. We watched even the 2010 one, which I had actually never seen, which was the one where Wallace starts dating a baker, or this lady who was like the mascot for this bread company.
Oh,
and,
yeah. Did you guys get the box set thing? Because I know there's
we found it on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, there's a box set of all these things.
Yeah, I'm probably going to order that, because especially if there's any like
Have you seen Curse of the Were-Rabbit?
I saw it when it came out in theaters.
I still have the poster for that.
It's man, Arbin just has something special there. They really do.
But the problem is like they do have some missteps. Like Arthur Christmas, I didn't care for.
Yeah, I forgot.
Flushed Away,
Arbin. I love Flushed Away.
Yeah, but they just weren't. I think
poor Rodney flushed down his own body. It's just for me. That's a joke for me. I believe it in my heart.
I think some of the release timing on some of their releases, they like Flushed Away. It was against Santa Claus 3, and Santa Claus 3 killed it.
Yeah, it absolutely did.
But which it should have been the other way around, to be honest.
Flushed Away is so much better.
Yeah.
The French Frog. My God, he's funny.
Yeah, that's Jean Renaud doing the voice too.
Gosh, if you haven't seen Flushed Away, seriously, it's fun.
It's a great kid film.
It's great for the whole family. Like that's good stuff.
And Patrick Stewart is the bad guy.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah,
working up to Vengeance Most Foul. It's a Netflix movie, so I think that might be next week's Internet Movie of the Week.
Cool, I can watch that.
Yeah, let's do that.
Get Drew in on that one.
Yes, absolutely. I'd love to know if he hates it, because it's good. All right. Well, that's the end of this large episode. Sorry, It was a little bigger than we thought it was going to be, but we had to do that top 10. So,
yeah.
Woo. All right. Well, I guess that means that we're just going to remind you one last time. Please leave a rating and share it with your friends. Or if you hate it, Why are you still listening? What do you?
Yeah, 35 episodes in now. Why are you still...
Right, yeah. But for those of you who do listen and enjoy the show, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We really appreciate you.
We do.
And yeah, I guess that means there's only one thing left to say, Andy, and that's that we will see
you
at the movies. Bye, everybody.
Bye, y'all.